The following broadcast is intended for mature audiences. These are real people sharing very real, deeply personal experiences. This content may be considered triggering for others and for those who are sharing. The chat room is a privilege intended for discussions and sharing. You are not being asked to agree, but you are being asked to stay civil and refrain from personal attacks. Listener discretion is advised.
All right, welcome back to Am I Mental? A live podcast where people share real stories about how mental health impacts life and how life impacts mental health. I'm your host, E. With us tonight, as usual, is C.
Hello, everyone.
Bexy is out tonight. She had to go under the scalpel. Nothing like super major, but she's recovering. Things are looking good. She's going to get the results in a little while, but as it is, it happened today. So she's not feeling great today. And knowing her and her Hashimoto's, her body's probably already kill it with fire. Just knowing her. Our website will be back up this weekend. Just waiting for the funds to clear. Thank you everybody for that donated. You guys, seriously, like, I gave you guys a big heartfelt message on the Discord. I was questioning if I wanted to continue doing the podcast, because the grind could really get to you. Like, you get so involved with getting the guests lined up, having to replace people at the last minute, and everything else that you forget sometimes why you're doing it and how it impacts other people. And then just the outpouring of support from you listeners, some of the messages that we were getting. Like, seriously, I got very misty-eyed. Like, really, really misty-eyed. And you guys really helped to remind me why we do this. So, yeah, it will be back up very soon. In the meantime, share episodes. This is the holiday season. This is the season where a lot of tragedies tend to happen some of them can be avoided, and some of it can be simply reaching out to someone. If you haven't heard from someone in a while, you know they're struggling, just reach out. Even if they don't call you back, at least just reach out. Let them know you're there. That is amazing in and of itself. And I'm about to get some head nods, I'm sure, in my little cameras here. Even when you have anxiety and you get that pressure and the anxiety of, oh God, I got to call them back, we still appreciate that you called. Trust me, we really do. And we are killing ourselves by not calling you back. But yeah, just know that we love you for it. That said, we have a return guest from season 1, Jenn.
Hello. Thanks for having me back.
Glad to have you back. Thank you for covering at the last minute. Speaking of which,
as an introvert, sometimes that's even better. If I make a commitment like a month ago, then I have like a whole month to be like, I made a commitment. But it's different when there's a couple days notice. I'm like, I got this. Just don't forget. Like, set the alarm on my phone, and yeah, actually, I prefer it.
Yeah, kind of like when I was doing karaoke. I'd be like, in the morning, I let everybody know I'm going out to karaoke tonight. By the time the night rolled around, I'm like, no. But if it was like spur of the moment, I'm like, fuck yeah.
yeah, exactly.
You got to mentally prep, basically.
No, if I get that time, I don't mentally prep. But if it's like just sprung on me, I'll just be like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't have all that time between when I make the commitment and the actual commitment to have my anxiety build up and make me go, no.
That's just it. Yep. Okay. Sometimes the anxiety is just knowing you have a commitment. It doesn't even matter what it is. And I get that. And I get social anxiety, and makes me lose sleep. Even if it's just, I had to be at work at a really ungodly early hour earlier this week. And I knew it a week and a half ahead of time. And every day I'm like, is it today? Am I late? I like last minute a little bit better.
Sorry, the person that was, there's someone in chat, JB, they were going to be this week's guest, but I understand. I understand where he's working right now. I mean, it's the holiday crunch. A lot of companies right now are just crunched. And it doesn't matter what company you work for, or if it deals with customers in any way, shape, or form, whether directly or indirectly, you got the holiday crunch killing you. So yeah, and he's like, I hope that I'm not that. I hope he isn't too mad at me that I couldn't make it for tonight's episode. No, don't worry about it, dude.
Of course not.
We'll get you at the beginning of the year. We got you, man. And honestly, like I said too, it's like, what kind of a podcast would I be running if I raked people through the coals when shit doesn't go right? I mean, it would make people terrified to be a guest.
Yeah.
Like, and I get it. Life happens. Life is messy.
Life happens.
Yes. And so last time you were on, we talked about bipolar 2.
Mm-hmm.
I have since come to the realization I am likely bipolar 2. The doctor that I've been dealing with, the only reason that he didn't give me that diagnosis is that he doesn't believe in it. He's really old school. He likes the DSM-4. He doesn't like the DSM-5. So I'm like, you know what?
Oh.
I need a different doctor. And if a doctor that actually is cool with the DSM-5 says I'm not, okay, I will take that opinion. But one that says I don't believe in the DSM-5, I got a problem with you.
Right.
You're not keeping up with the times, yo.
How do you do, fellow kids?
I just see Steve Buscemi with a skateboard over his neck. Hello, fellow teenagers.
Yes.
Is that a movie?
I don't know what it's from. It is a very popular meme, though.
Oh, yes.
It's all like it's about when someone is so obviously doesn't belong, yet they're trying to fit in.
Oh.
It's like trying to get into a drug ring, and you are the most clean-cut FBI person ever. You can't get in. Like, even if you wear the clothes, you're going to make sure that the clothes that are disheveled just right.
I'll have to go find that. I've probably seen it, but it's not, registering right now. But now I'm curious. I'm going to have to go find it.
It's a cool one. All right, so what happened? Well, you said that you had some breakthroughs or something. What happened? Let's delve into this.
Yeah. Well, just so for some background, when I was about 6, maybe even 5 years old, I started having these episodes of nausea and then being sick. And my parents took me to the doctor, and the doctor said it's allergies, because I had a lot of allergies when I was little. I had a runny nose like all the time. I had a hay fever really bad. And the doctor said it's her allergies. And also, when she doesn't get enough sleep, she gets sick. So for my whole growing up life, that's what I was told, to get more sleep when I would feel these sicknesses. And then it would go away, and the next day it was fine. And which was always nice, okay, I feel crappy for today, but the next day it's fine. But there was a pattern. And the pattern was usually like the first day of school, or Christmas morning, or a certain kind of social event. And believe it or not, I was in my 20s when I finally realized this isn't allergies and lack of sleep. It's anxiety. I finally identified the pattern, and, trying to figure out how I was feeling, just try to identify my feelings. And so I would just say, to anyone, any parents or anybody with, younger siblings, you might be the person that helps them along to identify what it is they're going through if they have symptoms like that. And I'm also really curious to find out if anybody else experiences nausea when they have anxiety. So I don't know how many people are in the chat, but I'd be really curious to...
The chat's hopping a little bit, which
Good.
is nice.
Good.
I don't know that I've ever had anxiety to the point of nausea, but like my anxiety, when it gets to a 10, I just curl up in a ball and stay in bed.
Mm-hmm.
I've had stress drive me to the point of dry heaving, which it's similar, but I wouldn't say it was anxiety. How about you, C?
I have never gotten to the point where I felt nauseous, but I have felt like I couldn't breathe or that generally someone was gonna hurt me. Like I would panic, but I wouldn't ever get nauseous.
All right, actually,
Yeah.
see, we
Well,
have a reply in the chat about this.
Oh. JB said, when I get anxious, it usually starts in my gut, and I get an uneasy feeling that if I don't take an
Klonopin.
thank you, it builds and spreads to other body systems. Colop Can you say that for me again?
Klonopin.
Thank you. Klonopin has saved my life several times.
wow.
I have a wife that works in medicine, and I've been in and out of medicine myself a few times. Medicine names, I'm okay with them. I get it. A lot of people, you see them, and you're just like, I get it.
Exactly.
It's not like I'm sitting there going, oh, come on, see. I'm like, I get it. I see that word. I'm like, first time I ever saw it, I was like, koala pin? What the hell is that? A koala with a pin? Is it going to jab me? Oh yeah, fun fact about koalas. I think I may have shared it before, but their fingerprints are so similar to humans that there may have been some people that have gone to jail because of the acts of koalas.
Whoops.
And their brain is
so-
literally smooth. Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh, JB just said,
Okay.
JB just threw another med in there for you to try. Might be easier to say he says with a smiley face. Smart
Maybe
ass. I love it.
Colonzepam is easier to say.
Koala pen. Koala
No.
pen.
Clonazepam.
Clonazepam.
Yeah. I can't. I can't.
Yeah, Klonopin's generic name.
Okay, good to know.
So I wanted to share some background about my growing up and the nausea, and I hadn't had a lot of that. Like once I identified it and made some lifestyle changes, it just kind of naturally occurs less intense. That physical manifestation doesn't occur as much. But in July, I had a trip planned from Washington State to Florida to meet with some friends. I'd been planning it for about a year, and I was super excited for it. They're friends I don't get to see very often. I probably saw them 2 years ago. And it was a fundraiser event that's really close to my heart. And I didn't feel anxious. I wasn't stressed. I wasn't nervous. I just was like, okay, I'm packing, gonna go on my trip. I'm pretty excited to see my friends. And all of a sudden I was overcome with nausea and headache, and my nose wouldn't stop running, and I got like stuffy nose. And this was, we're in this time of our lives where COVID is like this huge concern. And I just pictured myself going to the airport telling people I don't feel well. Like I don't feel well. And then I'm sniffling a whole bunch. And I was like, I don't think people are going to want me on that airplane with them. And it came on so suddenly that I didn't believe I was genuinely sick. But out of just like an abundance of caution, I decided to cancel my trip entirely. And that was really hard because it was my first time I ever bought a first class airplane ticket.
Oh,
And
Wow.
I didn't think the airline was going to refund me my money, but they did put it in my like airline wallet or whatever. I can redeem it another time. But when I canceled, I didn't know that. I just in my mind, I'm like, I just have to forfeit my ticket. And
I just ate that money.
Yeah, what's that?
You're probably thinking, well, I just ate that money. Boy.
I totally did. And then what happened was after I canceled the airfare and I canceled my hotel, I started to feel better immediately. And I just thought it was anxiety. It was what, and then I thought, why was I having anxiety? I didn't realize that some anxiety was even building up. I wasn't even aware. And once I get nauseous, like, I don't know how to stop that. And then it's happened again a couple times since July. And like I said, I had gone many years without having those physical manifestations of anxiety. And I think they're maybe just what's going on in the world is contributing to it. So I'm that's something I'm dealing with right now. And like C was saying about the breathing, that has never been a symptom of my anxiety. I've never had to deal with shortness of breath or just feeling suffocated. I've heard other people talk about it, but I hadn't experienced it until this year. And again, I didn't identify it as anxiety. I just felt like, why am I having a hard time breathing? And it went on for 2 weeks before I went to the urgent care. And they treated me like I had COVID. They isolated me. And then, of course, I'm getting like nervous. And they're like, we're going to give you a chest x-ray. And so my anxiety is going crazy because I'm like, oh my gosh, you're treating me.
Am I really sick? Am I dying?
Exactly.
What?
It just makes you...
Meanwhile, Chicken Little's inside the head, running and screaming. The sky is falling.
Yes. What choices did I make? Should I have made different choices? Really, like, even like, I don't have a will.
When I die, nobody gets shit.
Or my husband has to make decisions. What? That sucks. That's the thing. I don't want my family to have to make decisions and have disagreements.
Yeah, one of my jokes I've said for a while is where there's a will, there's a family tearing itself to pieces.
Yep. It's almost unavoidable.
It's sad. The will's supposed to prevent that.
Yes. Like I said, people will take offense and whatever. But
I'm just going to be buried with all my stuff. Screw you guys. I made it. I'm taking it with me.
I'll light it on fire and you can sweep up the ashes of, but we'll have to make it self-contained so nobody gets hurt. Someone needs to adopt my cats.
We're going to put all my flammable stuff under me and we're going to do the Viking funeral pyre.
Yes.
Yes. That sounds awesome. So when I was talking to the doctor, and I was like, do I have COVID? And because everyone's treating me all like, sterile and whatever. And she's like, no, but what's going on? Like, what's happening in life right now?
Hey, someone that listens.
I know. And I work in finance and it's the end of the year and things are bonkers and I'm got personnel issues and having to fire someone. And there's a lot going on and there's a lot going on in the world and the way it's affecting every single person and relationships are being damaged and all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I do have a history of anxiety, but it's never caused me shortness of breath. And my shortness of breath was so significant that I'd be like trying to inhale and feeling like I can't inhale. I told her it feels like there's a gate in my chest and it's being held shut and I need it to open, but someone's holding it shut. And so I keep inhaling and I'm almost going to pass out because I'm just trying so hard to catch a breath. She had done this test on my finger and said, you're getting the saturation of oxygen or whatever that you need.
Yeah, when they squeeze your fingertip and see how long it takes for the color to return.
Yeah.
It's a cool test, though. It really is.
I don't know that test. It was just some little thing.
Oh, that little clip.
Yeah, it's a clip. It's a little alligator.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have one for my son because of his CRMS. The cystic fibrosis related metabolic syndrome. That the lungs usually are one of the first parts attacked. Little bastard has better oxygen saturation than me. and my wife.
Oh, wow.
They're like, the kids aren't supposed to have 99. Like, kids are usually around 95, 94. They're a little less efficient. He's always at 99, 98. It's like, geez, kid.
Wow.
Save some oxygen for the rest of us.
I know. So she ended up prescribing me diazepam, which I have never taken in my whole life. And it was so interesting because when she prescribed it, we were the only ones in the room, but she got on like this hush hush voice. Like, I don't generally I don't like doing this, but you should have this and then go see your normal doctor. This will help you out. And I was amazed. The dose was 1 pill, but I only took half because I don't know how stuff is going to affect me. I took a half and I was breathing fine by the end of the night and over the course of the weekend. And then I got a little more anxious when I went back to work. So I took the other half and I haven't had to take any more ever since. And I think it was just sort of like I needed to acknowledge you're going through a hard time. You're dealing with a lot of stuff and you need to chill out a little bit. And I was thankful for her for doing that because I think maybe she's not supposed to do. I think urgent care has different rules about prescribing certain drugs.
Yes.
And it is a benzo. And some people get addicted to benzos.
Yep. And that's funny because JB was just saying, when you said it's like, sounds like a benzo. Like when used properly, benzos can be amazingly helpful. Just like.
So I have them on deck. Like I have them in my pocket if I'm having breathing problems, right? But I don't want to take them just to help me be chill. Like not what I want. I just want to like breathe.
You have the right mindset, I'd have to say.
Yeah, because drugs aren't going to solve everything. You got to fix some stuff. You got to deal with stuff. You can't just dilute it or stuff it down in your body by using the drugs and not really acknowledging what's going on.
Right, and it's like for some cases, it's a crutch to help you get there, and in some cases, like with me, it's permanent because there's just something imbalanced that it's not going to rebalance itself on its own. Sorry, it's just not.
Right. And that's me with my bipolar meds because I'm also have the bipolar too. And I've tried to go off them because I don't want to be dependent. It's not because I think it's bad. It's just I don't like it.
Right.
But I've tried to go off them probably 4 times in my life, and I always end up on my ass and just acknowledging, no, you have to have them. You do it. I don't like being dependent, but I am. And I'm glad they're there. They help balance me out. They help stabilize my moods. And that's just the way it is, So.
And you don't nuke your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what happens to me when I get off my antidepressants. I'm like, my life is going great. Where's the hand grenade?
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, my anxiety, I get panic attacks sometimes. And actually, this is why I quit smoking weed. It was because of panic attacks. Yeah, I start out and I'm like, I recognize it. I'm like, nope, nothing's happening. I'm fine. No, I'm good. No, everything's fine. No, that is not a panic attack I'm having. And it ratchets up. Okay, accept it. I am having a panic attack. That tightness in the left side of my chest is just part of the panic attack, like it was all the other times. Yes, you lost your grandfather to a heart attack. And an uncle. It's not you. You're not having a heart attack. Oh God, I'm having a heart attack! That's how my panic attacks go. So yeah, they suck. So when I'm like, if you ever see me and I'm like just look like I've like freaked the hell out and I'm really, really quiet, talk to me, get me out of my head. Because I'm probably having a panic attack. And I'm probably about to convince myself I'm having a heart attack.
Does it get better when you finally acknowledge it?
No. But it makes it good.
Really?
It helps it run its course. But it's really intense. Really intense. Now, the thing is that panic attacks last no longer than 5 minutes, typically. And if I'm sitting there like, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack, but I'm not falling over, and I'm not like frothing at the mouth, I'm not having like any of the classic, my heart has just stopped because it's the painful part of a heart attack. It's like, your heart attack can last a day, but it's the painful parts when you're finally, it's the worst part of it. That's when you get the permanent scarring. Mm-hmm. That's where you could die. If that's the point that I feel that I'm at, and I'm not like collapsing, I don't feel like there's an elephant sitting on my chest, It's a panic attack. But good luck, getting the rational side to talk to the irrational side that's causing the panic attack.
Yep.
The irrational is causing the panic attack?
For me, yes.
It's causing it? It's not just happening while you're in it?
Well, sometimes it'll cause it. A lot of times it just makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll have some physical symptom. Alcohol. If you drink enough alcohol, you'll have that energy rush about 8 to 12 hours afterwards. A lot of people who are habitually drinkers, they will wake up in the middle of the night because also this energy rush. That energy rush for me always shows up as a panic attack. Same with if I smoke the wrong kind of weed. It's a panic attack. And the irrational side of me always takes over going, I'm dying!
So tell me more about the weed, because before I was prescribed pharmaceuticals, sometimes I would take pot candy. I don't smoke. I don't even know how to smoke. That's why I don't buy the flower. But I would take candies to help me just chill.
Well, this was back before it was legal, so you kind of got what you got at times, and you couldn't always tell for sure if you were getting indica or sativa, and one of them gets you really amped up, and one of them makes you mellow. The amped up one is bad for me. Really bad for me.
But you gave it up. Did you give it up entirely?
Oh, yeah. I'm done. I've been done for, coming up on 13, 14 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, on my birthday. I gave it up on my birthday.
And was it exclusively for the reason of it making you a little bit, panic attacky?
Panic attacky and paranoid. Was over at a friend's house the day before my birthday. First time I ever went over to his house. And we used an apple to smoke out of.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
It was pretty amazing. It tasted amazing. But then he took my picture, and I went to a full panic attack. He just wanted to have my picture for the contact on his phone. Which, no biggie. All of a sudden, I'm like, is this some kind of a drug sting? Why is he taking my picture? I wound up suspecting one of my friends.
Yeah.
On my birthday, I went back over to his place, handed over all my shit. I'm like, I'm done. You can have it.
Interesting.
I would say.
Yeah, and I haven't. I've been tempted a couple times since, but no. Mm-mm.
That's interesting that you mentioned the paranoia, because, and actually, this could be a separate topic, podcast, or whatever, but I have a good friend whose son took his life a few years ago. And she said that he was like in his mid-30s. And she said he was just like a normal kid. He struggled with depression, as he got into his teens. And then it kept carrying into his adulthood. And she said he became a pot smoker. And it made his depression even worse. And then it made him super paranoid. And even when he wasn't high, just part of his everyday life was this extreme paranoia, and it changed his life drastically. And then ultimately he took his life. And I read an article of a study done in the UK where chronic pot users, like people who just use pot like every day, if they already have some mental health conditions, there's a high likelihood of the paranoia followed by a psychotic break, which is what he went through. And I really wish that more of that information was available to the recreational pot users. I use pot candy. This is not a judgment at all. I just do wish that while it is, legal here in Washington and in other states, I do think it would be beneficial to share more kind of information with people, for their own well-being.
One of the interesting things that has been coming out of the states that have legalized it is with legalization, usage has dropped.
God.
It's not fun and rebellious anymore. But also,
that's weird.
Yeah, but also with that, with the legalization, there's a lot more open sharing of information. You know what you're getting is clean. You know you're getting exactly what you're paying for, because there's checks and balances in place to make sure. So it's like if you go in and you're like, I want to get, like a quarter pound, or like if I want to get an ounce of sativa of a specific strain that you've heard of, you're going to get that. It's going to be clean.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, where when I was smoking, it was not legal. And sometimes you didn't know if the stuff you got was laced or not.
Oh my word. Yeah.
Yeah. And,
I didn't start using it until it was legal.
Yeah, there's a little combo that for a while was known, at least here in this area, called Cocoa Puff, which was cocaine-laced pot.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so when you smoked it, you got the high and the cool, chill, mellow of a good, type of a good strain of pot, but you also got just that energy from the cocaine.
Wow, what a weird combination.
Yeah, a lesser version of that would be energy drinks with alcohol.
Interesting.
One thing also with pot for me, it slowed me down mentally a lot. Like I've always been proud of how sharp of a wit I have and how quick I could come up with jokes. When I started, I got to the point of wake and bake. My sense of humor was still good, but man, it was slow. It slowed me down a lot. It took a couple of years for me to feel like I finally recovered from it.
Wow. That's something. I went to the pot store a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, to get something for nausea, which this time it wasn't caused by anxiety. It was caused by, I got an Oculus, the virtual reality headset.
Oh, yeah.
And it's causing me motion sickness.
Yep. I believe it.
I'm so mad. I did not anticipate that at all. I did not anticipate motion sickness from this VR because I had tried my nephew's, but the 2 games that I tried on his headset, you actually moved. You were moving with the, whatever you were doing. But I did one game where you just sit down and you're on a roller coaster. So you're not walking across the room. You're just sitting there and the roller coaster's right. And I got so sick.
Well, yeah, It's because your senses are giving you one thing that's happening, but your inner ear's like, this shit's not happening. And your brain goes,
right.
Fracture.
Right. But some people can play it and not get motion sickness at all.
I don't get motion sickness. I'm very happy.
You
for
don't?
That. No.
I don't get it either.
Okay, if I'm in a car and I'm in the passenger seat and I try to read, yeah, I'm going to get motion sick. But playing VR games, I'm fine.
I'm jealous. I want to ride the roller coaster and not get sick.
I'm going to say, you know what? Take some drugs and then do it. No, we're not. For anyone that's listening, I really need to throw it out there. I don't condone illegal use of drugs. I really don't. I know I did it when I was younger and stupid. Now I'm just not younger. But yeah, if you're going to try getting involved in that kind of stuff, especially if you're trying to self-medicate, because a lot of times that's why people do these things. Go see a doctor, get a prescription for it, because then you're getting clean stuff. Because that's the last thing you want is to get some dirty stuff of whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
One thing that has been useful to me with my anxiety, I just discovered about a year ago, and this is non-medicinal and completely legal, is videos on YouTube that are classified as ASMR. Have you heard of these?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Have you guys talked about them on this show?
No, we haven't,
I don't
actually.
think so, no.
So, and for anybody who's listening who doesn't know what it is, it's an acronym for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. And for some people, but not everybody, this style of video, while you're watching the video, some people get there are triggers, and they get a sensation of tingling feelings, and it starts at like the base of your neck and works its way kind of down your spine and sometimes into your extremities, and it's a really like pleasurable sensation. I only get that to like a 0.5% of my, when I'm listening to videos. The biggest value to me is that they are very, very calming. They're so calming. I feel so relaxed. And I play one of these videos every night to put me to sleep. They put me to sleep. And when I read the comments, because I'm a huge lurker, I lurk so much.
You lurk, I troll, you laugh.
Exactly.
I know I had you laughing a few times at least.
Yes, absolutely. And I still remember some of those GIFs that were popular to you. Whenever I see certain GIFs, I think of you when I see these GIFs. But I look at people's comments, and you would not believe how many people write on these comments, your videos help me with my anxiety so much. The people who do experience chronic anxiety, when they hear these videos, it's so beneficial to them. And I don't know if I can say it does help with my anxiety per se, because like I said, sometimes I'm having an anxiety attack almost, and I don't realize that's what it is. I just realize I'm having physical symptoms that suck. And when I realize it's anxiety and I address it, then it gets better. But it's very possible that it is helping prevent some of these physical manifestations of anxiety. And then, so to make it better, I started my own YouTube channel doing ASMR videos.
Ooh.
I don't create a lot of content. I know it's funny. I don't create a lot of content, and I don't have very many. Oh, sure. I didn't want to plug it. Like, I'm not here to plug my channel.
We plug things here.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, if it's something that you're into or something that may help, we plug it. Especially if it's something that can help, we plug it.
Okay, so I'll share mine, but I'll also share the ones that help me the most.
Awesome.
My YouTube channel is called Flannel Whiskers. And like and my videos, you don't see me, you just see my hands. And I am in a relaxing voice, in a quiet voice, describing a collection of whatever it is that time. So I've done my Pinocchio collection, Winnie the Pooh collection, vintage Fisher-Price Little People, buttons, just whatever it is. And I just kind of, and the last one I did was Halloween ornaments, Peanuts, my Peanuts Halloween ornaments. And the one that I'm going to do this week is some vintage Christmas gift tags.
I found it. You know what's funny is that as you were talking about the Fisher-Price Little People, I literally found as the very first video result when I searched for flannel whiskers. That's all I've searched for. I went under videos. ASMR unboxing vintage Fisher-Price Little People by Flannel Whiskers ASMR.
That's me.
We have another subscriber, and I'm dropping the link in the chat. I know that it doesn't work for everybody. Sorry.
Oh, thank you so much.
There it is. And I'll drop it in our Discord too.
Oh, thank you. My voice does sound a little bit different in those videos than now. So if you don't like my voice right now, that doesn't mean you won't like my videos. And then, so my favorite channels that I listen to daily, one of them is called Moonlight Cottage, and she's a French woman, so she has this beautiful French accent, and she does role plays. Like at least half of her videos are role plays. I don't get into the role plays very much. Hers is really gentle. It's subtle. It's kind of a subtle role play, and her sets are amazing. They're amazing, and she has done like interviews, Q&As and stuff where she talks about how she makes her videos, and it's just her, and she does phenomenal editing. Anyways, part of it is her accent. It's just delightful. And then my other one is... Quite honestly,
a great accent can really make or break a channel.
So much.
I've really gotten into British people reaction videos for American things. Like, I really got into it. It is amazing.
It is.
I'll have
I've
to
watched a
check that
couple of
out.
those too.
How was that? I heard C. What would you say, Jen?
Oh, I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna go find that.
Yeah,
I could use some decompression stuff, you know. I'm all uptight right now because of work.
I usually use music for that. If you happen to have Apple Music, I have a playlist that I call it My Chillness. It is 8 hours of just chill music. Bexy uses it all the time. Like, she's having a rough day, she puts it on. You just hit shuffle, and you'll never get the same thing twice. And I'm constantly adding to it. Anytime I find another song, I'm like, oh, that's chill. Add to the list.
That's great. And you have that, like, I could probably use something like that on my way home from work on my commute, because I can't listen to the ASMR because it might make me too sleepy while I'm driving. And plus, it just is not the same experience when you're trying to drive and trying to listen to somebody whispering things. And then I wanted to mention the other channel is called Chess ASMR. And by the way, when I started listening to this guy, I would listen to him every day, and I know nothing about chess. Nothing. And I was listening to him for like a month before I'm like, maybe I should learn about chess. The thing is I just liked listening to him. His style, his presentation, it's a very subtle accent. He's Danish. And I wouldn't have known, because he talks very much like an American, like you and I. There's barely a detectable accent, but then once you realize, oh yeah, he does say these certain words a little bit differently. And so I just wanted to emphasize how you may not care about Fisher-Price Little People, but hopefully the ASM artist, it has perfected their style so much that it doesn't matter what they're talking about. They're putting you to sleep and helping you relax. And so I listen to it at work. When I find my shoulders are super tense, I will put it on at work. I don't worry about getting sleepy while I'm, crunching numbers and stuff. But it does,
Right.
it really helps.
Yeah, no, for me, if I need something ASMR to help me to relax, to go to sleep, because I get insomnia, so yeah, that's always fun. For me, listening to the sound of a diesel engine, like a train engine, idling, is the one for me.
Really?
So I grew up in a small town that has railroad tracks running right through the middle of it. And I have never, in the entire time I lived there, I never lived further than a couple blocks away from the tracks. That I can remember. And that was the first house I remember, we were kind of far away, but I could see the crossing gates, moving and all that. And then the next house that we lived in, the property went right up against the railroad tracks. And then every place I lived after that, the railroad tracks were right across the street. And one spot, we actually had a couple of side tracks where engine was sitting idle. And my bedroom windows faced that way because that's where the north breeze came from. So in the summertime, you open up the windows, you get that northern breeze coming into the, right over the bed. Oh, it's the most amazing thing. And have that engine just idling. And it's just this rhythmic sound with this deep bass that just vibrates the body a little bit too. It's amazing. So I could put headphones on and listen to that and really enjoy it. But what I need is a sound system with a good subwoofer and someone that uses real high quality mics to grab that bass of the engine too, so that I could get that little bit of that rattle and rumble too.
I wonder if there's soundtracks and stuff out there for that. If you found a soundtrack, if you had the subwoofer, you can find something.
I haven't checked with the subwoofer, but I found on YouTube 8 hours of this one engine idling.
Oh my word!
And I've had it where the engines, when I was living in that town, the engine would sit there for a week, nonstop idle, for a week.
What a usage of gas! Oh my word! Or fuel, or whatever they use to power their
diesel fuel.
Mm-hmm.
But they were on an emergency call, and they didn't have if they were to get called, they'd have to just take off immediately. They wouldn't have time for the full procedure to get the engine up and running and all the checks. It'd just be, we're already at temperature, we're already optimized, ready to go. Boom, go.
Wow.
By the way, Kat said, "Oh, okay, wait, please repeat the other channel, one that you were talking about that helps you."
And I said it was ASMR chess.
Ah, okay.
Is that the one you were talking about, Jen? Uh-oh. I think Jen's frozen.
I think so. I don't see her.
I have a frozen face, no blink. And most people don't sit there with their tongue partway through their lips.
Right. Right. Maybe it's their internet.
Maybe. See, now is the time we could have an advertisement.
Right. It would be perfect timing.
These technical difficulties are brought to you by...
Yes. Comcast.
Ooh, ow. Hey, Comcast, if you want to sponsor us...
Yeah.
Not after that comment. This technical difficulty is brought to you by Comcast. Had our user been using Comcast instead of who they're using, we wouldn't have this problem. Now we can get them.
Yes. Well, I hope she comes back.
I hope so, too. So how about you, C? Any ASMR that you listen to?
No, not at all. I don't know if I would really like the whispering, to be honest. I don't think that would really calm me down. Maybe ambient noises like rain, but not ASMR.
I like the sound of rain. All right, so what does rain sound like to you?
Just like at night when you hear like the light thudding on your window. That's what I like to hear from the rain.
For me, when I listen to it, there's two sounds that really come to mind. One, it could be the sound of a steak sizzling in a frying pan.
Oh,
or bacon
okay.
in a frying pan if you get the ploppy rain. Another one that I really, really enjoy, it's the cheering of a crowd off in the distance.
Oh, yeah, I get that one. Yes. That one is really nice, I would say.
Yeah. And right now, I just got a message from Jay and lost network connection. I'm like, yeah, we noticed.
Ah, man, that sucks. Oh,
Check it out. Now we have Jenn.
it's got two gens. Even better.
Sorry, you guys. I don't know why I got booted off my network, but can you tell me what Kat had said in the chat? That's where I got cut off.
She had asked, okay, wait, please repeat the other channel. The one that you talked about that helped you.
And I thought it was ASMR chess.
That was one of them. And the other one was Moonlight Cottage. And that woman has she has got, I don't know how many subscribers, 400,000 subscribers or something. Ooh. And my favorite is called the Steampunk Optometrist. The one from a year ago, not the one from a month ago.
Steampunk Optometrist. That one, just the sound of it, that's the name of my next rock band.
Yes.
We're the Steampunk Optometrists! SPO!
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I love her.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And I was just asking C about, while we're waiting for you, if there's any ASMR that C listens to. And she's like, not really, but maybe like some rain.
Yeah. See, the thing is, there's so many styles that some of them just annoy the hell out of me. Like, there are channels where people eat.
No!
Yes.
Ugh!
I want to... No, I can't do that, because the first time...
Uh-oh.
Oh.
We are frozen again.
But I totally get not liking the food thing, like, especially when they smack. I just don't like it.
I absolutely despised Pringles commercials for a long time and Kit Kat commercials because it's like that stuff that you're not supposed to hear really loud, overly magnified.
Crunch.
Yeah, and it drove me nuts. Oh, man, I was like, I just want to reach through the TV with one hand strangle and the other hand just start punching straight into the nose. Just,
Oh no!
oh man, it would just cause so much rage in me. You know how I took care of that?
How?
Change the channel.
Good idea. Unless you want to punch the screen,
Another way that I deal with it, I don't watch TV. I only do streaming, and only the kind that I don't have advertisements.
Fair enough, I would say.
Yeah, I will pay to not have advertisements. I'm fine with that. And then you get longer shows, like an hour-long episode actually is an hour long.
Right.
Actually,
Poor Jen.
when I was talking about the British people reacting, they were reacting to our TV show, so like, my God. It's like a half-hour show is maybe 17 to 20 minutes worth of actual show. The rest is ads. I'm like, yeah, that's right. That's about it.
Yep, exactly.
And they're like, we only have ads at the beginning and the end. Like, that would be nice.
Poor Jen and her internet.
Now she's getting a message that she's been removed, even though I didn't.
That's strange.
Let me try sending another invite here. We are definitely having some technical difficulties here. Let's see if this works.
Yes, definitely. Kind of sucks. Kat said, I have tetanitis, and I have a fan on low/medium every night. I have it too, and that's why I keep my TV on low, so that way I can hear something in the background.
Yeah, we usually have like a cartoon on or something. Right now we have a air filter. Oh,
Okay.
That's amazing. that white noise. Come on. What the heck? I don't want to have to drop this and start it up again. I might have to, though.
Okay.
All right. I'll still be here. C will be right back. Hopefully we'll have Jen back, too. I'm restarting this.
Hopefully. Okay.
So, yeah, this is fun, having technical difficulties. All right, and a new invite, and there we go. And let's try this again. Sorry that I'm talking as I'm doing this. All right, so Ivania just went ahead and said to give a birthday shout out. Which, of course I will. She's one of my best friends and it has been for a very long time. So happy birthday, Ivania. Love ya. As we're dealing with technical difficulties. And here comes C. And Kat was just saying, TV is distracting with talking. I just like the white noise. Yeah. I can't stand having the TV on while trying to hold a conversation. All right, Jen's coming back in. And
Good.
C didn't hear it, but I am going to let C know, and also Jen. I got a message back from Ivania about tonight. They're not able to make it on, again, because they work in finance and they're slammed. But they wanted a happy birthday shout-out since today's their birthday.
Well, happy birthday. I hope you have a great day. A rest of your night,
Yeah, she's going to listen to it later, so yeah. All right, Jen, so we had to actually quit the entire app and launch it again to get you back in.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on, but you know what is the timing is I heard my husband up because he has weird sleep hours. And coincidentally, that's when my network started being all sketchy. Yeah, unrelated, but anyways, I apologize.
Get off a red tube!
Okay.
No. And Kat even said, happy birthday, Ivania. All right, so we were talking ASMR, and I asked C, like, what does rain sound like to you? What's it sound like to you, Jen? Like when you're in bed, laying down, and it's raining outside.
That is actually really calming for me. And I can easily picture myself on the banks of a river with a raincoat on, and to hear the rain hit my raincoat. So I'm in Washington, near Seattle area. We have a lot of rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have enough. There's enough rain up in Seattle that you don't go out to mow the yard. You mow the moss.
Yes, we do. We actually had to treat moss this past spring. Get rid of it.
But you get a lot of great mushrooms.
We get a lot of great everything. I love nature. I love going to the rivers. Our rivers are just amazing. I think of Californians as being super jealous of our hydropower and just our plentiful water. And to me, water is life. It is so refreshing. It is so restorative just to be there. And I took up fishing for about a year.
I love fishing.
What I realized is I don't care for fishing. I just want to be by the water, by myself, in the quiet, being still.
So what I described when I hear rain, to me, it sounds like, it really depends. The one that I hear most often is like an audience cheering off in the distance.
Oh, funny. That's interesting.
Another one that I've heard is it sounds like a steak sizzling in a frying pan. And if you happen to have puddles that the water's dripping into outside your window, it sounds like bacon frying in a frying pan.
I would have never thought of any of those. To me, it sounds like it's hitting my raincoat as I'm sitting by the river.
Nice.
That's what wherever I am, that's what it sounds like.
I will say for the steak one, I actually heard that off of MASH, of all things, and I thought about it, and I was like, that's actually pretty accurate. It kind of does sound like a steak frying in a frying pan.
Well, it might depend too on the amount of rain coming down and how torrential downpour it is, and the space in between the raindrops.
Oh yeah, our back living room, we don't have an attic over it. It's because the roof slopes down, so the attic's gone over the living room. And when it's pouring, it sounds like there's a train. Like a freight train going on right above our heads. It's just this constant roaring, rushing sound. That's when it's really pouring, and it's been last few days. California's been getting hammered right now.
I was talking to a friend of mine on my way home from work, and she said she hired a couple guys to install the Christmas lights on the outside of her house. And she goes, well, they were supposed to come today, but they didn't because it's raining. And I had a hard time not laughing because it rains all the time here. If somebody canceled on me because it was raining, I'd be like, hello, you're in the Northwest. You don't cancel that for the rain.
California's drought has been so bad that the Sierra Nevadas have actually raised up 3 inches in height. Because, seriously, the earth here in California is getting so dry that it's actually changing our geography.
Wow. Bizarre.
But yeah.
But how does it raise it up, though? I would have think down the other direction.
The water's not weighing it down.
Oh,
yeah, that's how I was the same way. I was like, but how? Also, without all the snow on the mountains, the snow's all gone. Yeah. That's extra weight that's just gone. So all that tectonic, all that pressure underneath the Earth's surface is pushing California upwards.
Wow.
Yeah, we actually went up in elevation because of the drought. But lately, like this last week or so, we've just been hammered. It started up in like the Washington, like we were watching Canada, Washington, and Oregon just getting blasted jealously. And then it came south. And yeah, we're getting good snowpack. Like my hometown is just getting buried. Yeah, we need it. We really need it. And we have a small break now, but like for the next couple of days, at least here in the Sacramento Valley area, we're not getting much of anything but clouds and a little bit of sunshine. And then in about 3 days, it's going to start raining. And like the 10-day forecast from that point forward, it's all rain.
That's amazing for California. Any part of California, that's amazing.
Well, here's a fun fact about Sacramento. When Sacramento was rewarded, became officially the capital of California, it was flooded at that time.
Oh my God.
Sacramento gets flooded all the time. It was flooded for 3 weeks when it was made the capital. For 3 weeks, you couldn't even set foot in Sacramento because it was underwater.
Wow.
Yeah, when it rains in this area, it's like we'll get some drizzle, but then we just get this freaking downpour where, like, you know how you can have, like, the rain gutters on your roof? The water is rushing off the roof so fast it's going over the rain gutters. So you just have this sheet of water coming off the house. Plus, what's coming out of the rain spout from the gutters, it is just shooting out. We get so much rain when it decides to rain.
Wow. And of course, the land is so dry, it has a hard time allowing the water to really permeate through
Right.
it. So it just runs off. It's just
Right.
run on it.
And a lot of people are like, but the Earth's really dry. It's like, yeah, it's dry and packed.
Yeah. Whereas here, a lot of our flooding is because we have so many rivers. The rivers get over capacity and they just start spreading out. They just flood above the water level. And actually rivers can change course.
Yep.
When that happens. It can totally
Alter everything
go in a
about it.
direction.
Yeah, there was, I remember one storm. It was in the late 90s. My now ex-wife and we were fiancés at the time. We came to Sacramento because that's where she's from originally, from the hometown that I met her at. And they were afraid of the levee breaking here because of the amount of rain that was coming down. And there were landslides wiping out parts of the freeway that we had just been on, like the day before.
Oh my gosh.
And the flooding was so bad that her stepdad went out to his hometown, which was a little itty-bitty town outside of where mine was, like rival towns when it came to schools, for like football and all that. There were boulders the size of houses moving around under the water. You couldn't see them, but boy, could you hear it.
Oh my word.
Yeah, and there's, I'm trying to remember the name of it's between Sacramento and Davis. They have these metal plates. They're like steel plates that are like an inch thick that when the floodwaters start getting really, really bad, they can drop them to block off where the water flows in order to prevent it from flooding downtown. The thing is that they could drop them in an instant. One of these plates just boom, drop, boom, all remotely. But to put them back in place takes an hour per plate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's not often that they drop those things, but when they have to, they have to. And during that storm, they had to. Yeah. In Sacramento, when it rains, it pours. Hey, you talk about anxiety driving there.
Oh, man.
Oh, and the Sacramento Valley gets tornadoes.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
Yes, we do. We usually don't get above an EF1, but there have been EF2s and EF3s recorded. I've been here, and I haven't actually seen the tornadoes, but, sitting down watching TV, and all of a sudden it's like, tornado alert, warning in your area.
What does that mean?
So what it means is, okay, now, in the Midwest, they have tornado watches and tornado warnings. A watch is we see on the Doppler radar the echo hook, or the hook echo, where tornadoes typically form. We know the storm is capable of producing a tornado, but we don't have any verified on the ground. A tornado warning is tornado verified on the ground. California doesn't have tornado watches. So when you see the tornado alert, there's a tornado on the ground.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, California, we got it all, man. Sadly, we got it all. We have blizzards, we have floods, we have wildfires, we have earthquakes, we have tornadoes, we have drought. We got it all.
You have the beach and the mountains and the forests.
Yep.
And the deserts. Yeah.
as Jeff Dunham's puppet Walter says about California, we love it here in the middle of an earthquake.
So does nature give you guys, either of you or any of the people in the chat, like, does any kind of relationship with nature affect your mental health?
For me,
And yeah, in like a positive
greatest
way.
thing in the world for me is to be out in nature. I get lost in the city. I have no sense of direction in the city. I go out into the forest. I can't get lost.
That's amazing.
I grew up in the forest. Like, literally behind my house, like, I would go through my property, hop the railroad tracks, and I was in hundreds of acres of forest.
That sounds
Ooh.
amazing. I would love that.
Oh, it was the best.
Except for critters.
There were some bad... there was the black bear a couple times that would go to our neighbor's house because they had an orchard, and that was the buffet, and our yard was the toilet.
Oh,
Oh.
man.
So you go out to go feed the dogs, and there's a big-ass pile of bear poop right there. Like, that sucks.
Fuck.
I got hunted by a mountain lion in my own backyard. My dog saved my life. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there were some very not cool things about that. But I would say 85 to 90% of the time, it was just amazing.
I
What
like
about you?
nature, but I don't go out into it much often. But I would like to just go on a little trip by myself and enjoy nature or go with a friend. I think it would be nice.
Is
I'll
it
take ya.
conveniently located for you?
No.
Mm.
I live in the suburbs, nowhere near a forest. I live in a valley, basically.
But there's still some pretty awesome stuff in the valley, especially if you like me. If you like bugs and snakes and things like that. My God, you're in a jackpot area for that.
Oh, yeah.
And frogs and turtles. You got some cool shit out there. I'm just saying.
That is true. That is true.
Meanwhile, we have these. If you go up, there's this area called Sly Park. It's about 10,000 feet in elevation, so it's up there. Really fun to take people up there and have them go swimming, and they don't know about the altitude difference. Like, yeah, I can swim across this stretch of the lake, no problem. They get about a quarter of the way through, and they're coming back dog paddling because they can't breathe. Like,
Oh.
yeah, because the oxygen's thin. I grew up in high altitudes, so I know about it. I'm definitely not acclimated to it anymore, but it's amazing how fast you acclimate. But yeah, there's these large spiders, tarantulas basically. They're cobalt blue, and they live in holes no wider than my thumb. And at night, they will not come out for anything until nighttime. And when they come out at night, man, are they aggressive.
Oh my gosh, that sounds horrible.
Oh, they're gorgeous. They're so
Oh,
beautiful.
sure, they look.
I think
are they
I've seen a
called?
picture. Oh,
Yeah, they're cobalt blue and black. They are amazing.
What are they called? What's the species called?
That's just, I don't know the species exactly.
I think I've seen a picture of what you're talking about. They are very pretty.
I used to actually have a picture I took of one as my image on my bank card. Used to hand it to people, spider towards them, and they'd be like, ah! Yeah, I'm a troll. What can I say?
Prankster.
Well, the thing is that I never actually did it deliberately. I just handed over the card. It never really occurred to me until like after they freak out, and then I forget about it because, yeah, ADD. So, aside of ASMR, anything else help you with your anxiety?
I'm just still trying to figure that out because it hasn't been this bad in a long time. The last couple of years. A lot of it I think has to do with COVID, and a lot of it has to do with workplace stuff. I'm actually trying to figure it out, and I welcome any feedback from anybody else, especially for the nausea, because I don't do that. I do not handle that well. Like, I don't care about anything. I'm going to lay down because if I'm, horizontal, maybe I won't throw up. So I don't know. I'm looking, and especially what do people do while they're in it? Like when these times where I'm trying to intake air so much that I'm about to pass out. Like, what can you do in the middle of it to slow it down?
The only thing I could think of is to do the consciously, 3-second inhale, hold for 3 seconds, 3-second exhale. That might help. Yeah. Just force your body to slow down.
I mean, it's frustrating that your rational brain cannot convince your body you're fine. The world is not ending. You're going to go on vacation. You're going to have a fun time. You're at work having a hard time. It's not the end of the world. I'm not saving kittens. Like, I'm not a firefighter. Lives are not at stake. It's very frustrating because I'm a very rational person. I think I'm a pretty smart person, and I would agree. Oh, thank you. My mind ought to be able to convince my body of rational, you're okay.
Sadly, that's just not the way our bodies are built.
No,
and
I don't like
that.
It
Sucks.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not having a panic. It's like, I'm having a panic attack. It is not a heart attack. And of course, my body goes, heart attack! No. Yeah. It's not. We've been through this before. But this time it's different. No, it's really not.
Yeah. Oh, well, and actually another thing, that's a good point. It's about self-talk, right? It's about reassuring yourself. And part of that is not to build up dialogues. Like if you have to have an encounter with somebody and it makes you nervous, gives you anxiety. I have a tendency to create the dialogue in my head, and I hurt my own feelings because this is how I think the scenario is going to work out. I make up a story. The story in my mind is like the worst case scenario. And I've had to tell myself, just stop doing that. Stop hurting your own feelings because you're predicting a conversation that might not even turn out that way.
Right.
And don't let stuff simmer. Besides taking the benzo twice, the following week, I actually did talk to my two bosses, and tell them, I don't want to work this much overtime. I'm stressed out. I'm at capacity. I need help. These are the solutions that I have for the help that I need. And that had been building up. I had needed to have that conversation for weeks, and I was avoiding it because I'm a conflict avoider, and it feels like conflict, even though it wasn't conflict.
I get it.
Yeah. So do I.
Yeah, we all get it.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
As confrontational as I seem on social media, I am a huge conflict avoider for the most part. And social media has actually given me the ability to start standing up for myself in my personal life, though, which is awesome. But yeah, no, I get it.
Anytime I see or am involved in a confrontation, I'll feel my heart beating really fast. I start to shake. I get so nervous and anxious. Yeah, I totally get it.
And I've seen a few times where C will drop a joke, but Bexy and I are busy. We'll be engaged, we're all talking to each other, and then for whatever reason, Bexy and I both get busy, and C drops a joke. And there's no response. And you almost can feel and hear over the phone, over text, guys, did I cross a line? And it's I go back and look at the joke, I'm like, oh shit, that's hilarious.
Just don't let stuff simmer, so.
And see, just know, unless you are personally attacking me with the intent of pissing me off or hurting me, your jokes are awesome.
Good to know.
Even if I don't respond right away, when I do see it, I will probably laugh my ass off. Your sense of humor is so freaking amazing. I love it. It's one of the best sense of humors I've seen in a long time.
That's good to know, because a thing that I do with my anxiety is I go over that situation over and over and over and over.
Mhm.
And no matter what, it's like I see it that I did something wrong, but I know I didn't, you know?
Right, but
It's a rush.
but when you go to give yourself that dialogue, you can't find a good side to it. And then you get the reply, dude, that's funny. And you're like, oh, I guess that was one of the options.
Right.
No, I don't know anything about that. Never done that.
Totally.
Oh, and you know what, LSE? Over the last few years, I've talked a lot with some people that we might know mutually about that philosophy of objectivism.
Yes.
And just accepting reality, respecting reality. And so times where I would get my feelings hurt, or I would do what C just said she does, where she replays the event in her mind over. Oh, sorry. And I would just keep replaying it and being really insecure about it until I can get to the point where I'm like, you know what? The reality is I didn't do anything wrong. And I am not going to beat myself up, or I'm not going to feel insecure. I'm not going to do these things that are not good for my well-being. And that has helped me immensely, but it took a lot of practice.
Yeah, and that's same with me. Like objectivism and positivism has changed my world. Because there's so many times I could look at it and go, I didn't do anything wrong, but I can't control how someone else perceives it. All I can do is deal with how they respond to me about how they perceive it and how I respond back. So I can't dwell on this. Maybe I'm not seeing something here.
Right.
And it really helps. Yeah, sure. The anxious part of me is always sitting there just nagging.
Yes.
But I'm able to mute it down to about a 1.
Yes, exactly.
Good.
And then when time comes, it gets addressed. And the fact that it does get addressed makes it easier to mute it back down to a 1 the next time.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't eliminate it, but it's a really good habit to get into. If you're going to self-talk, don't self-talk yourself into being at fault or insecure about what you said. Like, self-talk to let yourself know the reality is I didn't intend to hurt somebody. The reality is my joke was, I thought it was funny. It was well intended. I'm not here to hurt people's feelings. It's real. You and I could talk forever about how well the difference that has made in my life, especially not being a people pleaser as much as I used to.
Yeah. I mean, I still remember you from years ago, and comparing you to now, the world's different.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
I didn't say it was a good thing. No, I'm just kidding. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I couldn't help it. The door was open. I had to walk through. There was a pretty light. I had to reach for it.
Yeah. I like that about you.
Aw, thank you. Yeah, no, and C has come a long way as well. Bexy, probably the biggest transition I've ever seen in my life. I mean, you've seen the pictures of Bexy from before. You look at her eyes, they are dead. Like, there was no life. Could you imagine her today being that person again?
No.
No life.
Absolutely not.
No self-confidence. Just, that's not Bexy.
Yeah. I wish she was here.
I wish she was
here to share more.
But I'm glad she's resting and taking care of herself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck that. Show must go on. No.
Yes.
Sorry. I hope you heard that, Bexy. I'm cutting your pay from nothing to nothing. Since none of us are getting paid. I don't get paid. No, but seriously, like that whole group, even though that group's not together anymore, I've heard from the grapevine that it's changed. New people have rotated in, some old people have rotated out, and some people just changed where it's like it's not as good as it used to be. But during that time, man, it was magical. And we changed lives there.
Yeah. Yeah. My life, I was exposed to this through these people, from these people. And a certain group of these people had the patience with me to coach or to educate
And
or just explore with me.
and the thing is that when you are like one of these objectivists, it's kind of weird that we're going straight into just philosophy now instead of mental health,
I
but
know,
they
right?
do go hand in hand. They really
Yes.
do. If you have a negative philosophy, it is going to negatively impact your mental health.
Yep.
Your philosophy is literally everything. Your every decision comes from your personal philosophy. And if you don't have a handle on your philosophy, then you don't have a handle on how you make your own decisions.
Yeah.
If you have conflicting beliefs that's part of your core philosophy, you're going to make conflicting decisions. And then you're going to be pissed off at why doesn't this work?
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's so insightful too, because my theology and my philosophy, they sometimes there's some tension between my theology and my philosophy, but I'm working through that, and I can acknowledge there's a little bit of tension right here, and just decide how I'm going to deal with that. But you're right, if they're in conflict, and I mean, I just had this like moment earlier this year where I was actually in tears when I realized these things are in conflict, and just feeling this sadness of which I have to grieve a little bit of one or the other, acknowledge, that it, anyways, yeah, we could talk
one of
philosophy.
them has to at least change.
Yeah. They can't live in contradiction.
That's dysfunction.
Not all of it though. Yeah. Or you will have internal conflict. You will be conflicted. Not good for your mental health, like you said.
No, especially if you encounter something real life that forces you to have to deal with that conflict.
Yeah.
That is painful.
Yeah.
And sadly, most people, when they run into that I've seen, and this is just my own experience, it's not by studies or anything, the people tend to lash out at wherever they perceive caused this conflict. Even though the conflict's internal, there's some external factor that force them to have to face the conflict, but they don't have the tools or the ability to recognize it's an internal conflict. They need to resolve it.
Right.
What they see is, you just put me in an impossible situation. Well, it's not an impossible situation. You just perceive it as such because you have an impossible dilemma internally.
Yeah.
That whole, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Which I still love. Actually, now that I understand that saying, I love it because it's so profound.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like, well, I have my cake and I'm eating it. It's like, no. You can't have your cake, as in you can't have it stay exactly as it is when it was presented to you, and eat it at the same time. You're either going to eat it, or you're going to not eat it and have it look perfect. You can't have both.
Right.
But yeah, no, it has helped my life immensely. And one thing I've learned is that once you grasp it and you really become that objectivist, that positivist, you have this eternal well of patience to help others who are genuinely trying to seek help and try to seek answers.
I think that's absolutely true, because I've experienced it. But what's the irony of that is the people who have been the most influential and instrumental, they refuse to take credit. It drives me crazy.
It's because you did the change. You did the work. All they did was point it out. It's kind of like that whole thing with the Matrix. I can only show you the door.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be looking at the door without their help. But that's basically, their reply to me. But I will still have gratitude because of the huge impact that it had in my life and in my mental health. Totally part of my mental health.
Yeah, like I will never forget every person that helped me on this journey to get to where I'm at. And I'll never forget anyone that has come to me looking for advice and that I've tried to help along with this journey too.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's like, as patient as we are for those that are trying to get help, almost all of us, I've noticed universally, and maybe I'm wrong, but from what I've seen, we are equally impatient with people that are dead set against it and refuse to learn or listen or anything. That they come at us with the sole intent of destroying what we are.
Right.
And
I used
man, they seek us out.
I know, because they're negativists, because that's what they want. And it's so funny because a few years ago, I would watch these debates and people would go immediately from objectivists or positivists would go directly from recognizing it to calling them, destroyers of humanity or whatever. And I remember thinking, that's a leap. No, but then now I know the
once
term.
It clicks.
Then it clicks. Yep.
And you're like,
but unfortunately,
wow. It's like, these are what they're talking about. They are so focused on that. Well, it's like, their symptoms is the way that I see it. They're symptoms of a deeper issue, but they refuse to even address it. They even have that bigger issue. Yet if you are patient enough and you get them talking long enough, every single one without fail exposes the deeper issue that we saw from the beginning.
Yep. And then it is frustrating when they don't see it.
Yeah.
They just live in denial.
And the way I put it is, if you ever decide to, if this for anyone that's listening, if you decide to take the path towards objectivism, it's kind of like the Force with Star Wars. Once you become sensitive to it, you cannot become unsensitive to it. And it comes with a price. It really does. It's worth it. But be prepared. You will lose friends. You will lose family.
Yes.
You'll gain a bunch of new people, too. But you're going to lose a lot of people around you that you, well, quite honestly, and I hate to put it this way, but it was for me, people that you thought you valued.
Well, and there's a stigma. If people don't understand the philosophy, there's a stigma of objectivists being selfish, super duper selfish. And I don't even call myself an objectivist because of the theology elements that contradict. But I'll tell you what, I've never met a former objectivist.
Yeah.
There are people who don't like to call themselves that because of stigma.
Right.
But I've never met somebody who embraced that philosophy and then decided to go another direction.
Exactly. And
have you?
No. And I'll flat out say, you know what? Yeah, I'm selfish. If I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of anybody else or anything else.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I'm selfish to the point of self-destruction. It means I'm selfish to the point of a healthy level of selfishness.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's something that people, especially with this podcast, I think a lot of people that, not even just this podcast, people that are struggling, a lot of them, the people that struggle, they're not struggling because they're selfish. Usually they're struggling because they're too selfless. They're not selfish enough. I've never heard of a problem where someone's like, I stand up for myself too much, and now I have these mental health issues. It's, I don't stand up for myself.
I was just telling a friend of mine a couple months ago, she's just low on fuel, but she's such a giver. And I was telling her, look, we're taught that it's virtuous to be a giver. We're taught, a lot of people are taught that. And it's a very valuable, it is virtuous to be a giver. But it doesn't usually come with the caveat of, but there's a threshold. You do it to a healthy level. And I do wish that, to the extent that we are pummeled with the messaging of share your toys. I mean, it starts at a very young age. It's be a giver. But it just as frequently should come with a caveat, not to the detriment of your well-being, because that's not virtuous at all.
I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they both have toys that the other one really enjoys. And it's like, look, you know what? You weren't playing with it. You were playing with this. Go ahead and share that. But if you were playing with it, well, no, it's your toy. You're playing with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to share it. You're playing with it. It's yours. But they need to share it. No, they don't. If they're using it, they don't need to share.
Yeah.
When they're done with it, then they can share. But if they're not using it, they're using something else, and you decide to play with it, and then they suddenly are like, but it's mine! No. No.
Yeah.
And that's, one of the things I'm trying to really impart on my kids is like, you don't have to share the things that you're using at that moment unless you want to. And it can be really fun to do so. But if you're not using something, it's something I struggled with a lot as a kid. And it took me a long time to be able to spot it and identify it. Even as an adult, I sucked at it for a while. Now, sure, no problem. Except I'm not sharing my wife, even if I'm not using her at that moment. Sorry, not sharing her. She's fine.
What about you, C? Do you what do you feel about the sharing, the obligatory share, or the selflessness to a detriment?
I would say it happens a lot. I would say quite a few people in my family, including me, do that. And in my own experience, it has backfired quite a bit because doing things for other people to make them happy doesn't make me happy. And I've just finally started doing things that I want to do for myself. So
good job.
I would say it's a process.
It is.
Yeah, it is a process. It's a habit.
I have a feeling that Betsy and I have helped you with this a little bit.
Yeah?
Probably.
We're always here to support you. You know that.
I know. Same with you.
I know. You've helped me a few times.
Good. I'm glad. That's what I like to do.
So do I. I love helping. I really do. I love to help. I love to share. But I'm not going to be altruistic. I'm not going to sacrifice myself for anybody. Well, okay, I might sacrifice myself for my kids. Especially if it's a life or death situation. Yes. But that's different.
That's not even altruism because you get a benefit from it.
Right. I really wish that people would really pay more attention to the giving tree and take the perspective of the tree. Even though the tree got to have the kid around, that kid abused that tree.
Yeah.
What was
definitely.
left? What was left at the end? A stump. The stump was thankful that the person was still there, but at that point, I mean, that's an unhealthy level of commitment to that person.
Giving.
Yeah, of giving.
Yeah.
That giving tree, I mean, I don't know if Shel Silverstein, what his intent was behind it. Whether he was trying to praise altruism or trying to shine the light on how altruism, ultimately it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I've noticed, too, is that people that scream for altruism the most are the least giving that I've ever met. They demand it, but they sure as hell don't share.
Yep.
Wow, this podcast took a weird turn today.
I know. Sorry.
You brought it up! I'm blaming you!
That's fine.
No, for me, one of the biggest changes in my life that have helped make my life more positive, to allow me to do things like this podcast and be able to commit to it and follow through on a lot of things, was just totally forgot what I was going to say. Fuck.
That's okay. I do the same exact thing.
I'm tired. I've been through in training for the last 2 weeks. Endless training,
for your new
8 hours a
job.
day. Yeah, 40 hours a week of training. It is. Ugh.
Somebody came to me at the office today about a conversation we had yesterday, and he wanted to change his mind. And I said, well, can you write me an email? And he looked at me like, but we're having this conversation. And I'm like, yeah, but I know, but I have, like, if my mind is an internet browser, there's 14 tabs open. So really, I need you to send me the email of your changed mind so that I can implement it. I won't remember.
I have 14 tabs open, and one of them's playing Mambo number 5. I don't know which one it is. And it's driving me nuts.
Yep, that's the meme.
But it's true.
It is true. Especially when you have a lot of stuff going on. It's okay. It's okay. Say, send me an email. If you want the outcome of your approaching me about you changing your mind, if you want a different outcome, send me an email. And if you don't, that's not on me. That if I don't implement it, even though my memory sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still trying to remember what it was I was trying to say earlier. But just basically, the objectivism it has helped to simplify my life. I will say that. It allows me to really be able to cut through the bullshit to get to the heart of the issue. Which has been very helpful with this new job, too, because, like, all these other people, they just keep getting caught up on these superfluous, I think that's the word, just these extra things that they didn't really need to check into, but they're like, well, we have access to this stuff, and we should check in this, and we should check in that. I'm like, ultimately, here's what one person's saying, here's what the other person's saying. Is there a conflict, yes or no? No. Okay, then why are you looking at everything else? There's no conflict, we're good. Yes, there's a conflict. Okay. What's the conflict that they're saying? Does it have anything to do with the 99 things you're looking at, or maybe 3 things? That's one thing that objectivism has really helped me with. That's what I was going to say. It was listening to the lecture, Philosophy, Who Needs It? Absolutely stunning lecture.
Whose lecture was it?
The one that I have in particular, it was Ayn Rand to the West Point Academy graduating class. I want to say it was in the 70s. It was her address to them, and it was stunning. It was so good. And it hit home so hard on so many things about having a consistent philosophy versus having a broken philosophy of just the things that you just kind of pick up along the way. And honestly, it's so easy. Like, you find this cool little slogan that you heard. Don't sweat the small things. Everything's a small thing. That easily becomes part of a philosophy. But is it consistent with everything else you believe?
Right.
Right.
And that has helped me so much in life, being able to do that. Because now I'm able to, like I said, I can cut through the bullshit. I could cut through it on my own pretty well. I had one friend at one point tell me that I was the most self-deluded person they ever met. Since, that's not the case anymore. The difference was...
You were the most what?
Self-deluded person that he ever met.
Huh. Did you appreciate him saying that?
I wanted to kill him. I was so offended and pissed off. But this is a friend that I've been friends with for a while. He's a brother to me. Like, seriously, I swear that he and I are blood, even though we're not. We're blood. He said it, and it pissed me off. But I also know him, and I know that he was saying it for a reason. He doesn't say things just to piss you off, especially the people he cares about. So I listened. And he had made some really good points. Oh, I was pissed. I was so pissed. I'm like, dude, I need to process what you're saying, and right now I'm so fucking angry at you. I don't want to see you for right now. Can I talk to you tomorrow when I get over this? He's like, yeah, no problem. We have that kind of relationship. It's amazing. I've never had that with a friend before. Where I could flat out, it's like I could tell him flat out, I want to stab you in the chest right now. Can we reconvene later? It's like, I recognize this is just a right now thing. This is in the moment. But yeah, no, and it really helped me to start looking at everything they did. Every action I took, every thought I had, and really start comparing it with that philosophy I was trying to build. Going, if I have this philosophy, but I'm not living up to it, what's wrong? Where's my conflicts? What am I not seeing? Yeah, and
it does help you look at trite sayings or look at these memes. And sometimes it's like, oh, that, initially that looks like, oh yeah, that's an uplifting thing. And then you're like, well, but no, like, if I dissect that a little bit, that's sending the wrong message. And one of the things I learned a couple years ago when I was
Contrite
really
platitudes.
platitudes, yes, was it felt like in these conversation with these philosophical minded people, they had to choose their words so specifically. They had to be very exact. And I would try to communicate something, and then somebody would kind of rephrase it in a way that, yes, yes, that's what I intend. And I'm like, why do you have to be so specific though? And it was like, because words have meaning. Like,
Exactly.
yeah. So if you're digesting platitudes, you are digesting perhaps something that is not quite the reality that you want to accept. So don't accept the platitude, even though on the surface, if you're not thinking real deeply about it, you might accept it.
Right.
But start to look at things and make sure it's what you want to feed your mind.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, and that's also one of the big differences right there between the objectivist and the non-objectivist. Words have meaning.
Yep.
And then they go, well, words change meaning over time. It's like, we're not disputing that.
Mm-hmm.
What we're saying is pull out the dictionary. What does it say right now? This is how I'm using that word right now.
Yeah.
And also, when it comes to things that were said in the past, like say in the 1700s, for example, let's look at what the words meant then. And look at what they said then. Because that's what they were saying then. Don't use today's definitions for words that were written 200, 300 years ago.
Yeah.
That's doing a disservice. Just like don't use the morals of today against what was moral hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
We are a species that's still evolving. We're a species that's still learning. And we're doing a disservice by, I mean, it's like we can recognize, yes, slavery is evil. We can look at it and say slavery has always been evil. But we live in a much more enlightened time. So can you really hold it against the people that had slaves but were fighting for equality? Even fighting for, like, even if there's some that were abolitionists that had slaves. But there's like, okay, now read about the conditions that their slaves lived in. Were they really slaves? Or were they slaves in label only because they were protected that way?
Mm-hmm.
That shit really happened. There were slave owners that they'd get a slave and be like, okay, well, your choice. You're free to go or you could stay here. You'll get an equal share for whatever work you do here. Good luck finding that outside of here.
Yeah.
You can have a nice house, keep a profit share, have your own little plot of land for your own use. You know, like, I'm not trying to exploit you. I'm just saying, here are your choices. Welcome to America. And that was a shit decision, but there were people that did that.
There are even, this isn't comparable, but just another example. There are people who don't think people should have pets. They really truly believe you should not be a cat owner.
Oh, there's people out there that go out and kill domestic animals because it's better for the animal.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that it being alive is better. Just saying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's weird to me, and I wonder if 100 years from now people are going to say, yeah, the people who own pets, what a ridiculous bunch of people. But if the alternative was for them to be in the animal shelter in a little, 4x4 cage, pretty sure they like my house a lot better.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's surprising how many shelters are not no-kill. It's like shocking. Like, you're like, oh, I'm going to take them to the Humane Society. Oh, they kill. I'm going to take them to PETA. Oh, they kill.
Oh, they definitely kill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like a lot of, it's crazy. But if you want a great documentary, Dogs Decoded.
Is it going to make me sad?
it's going to make
Yeah.
you love dogs so much. Like, if you love dogs to begin with, you're going to absolutely just, oh my God! And if you're like, dogs are okay, now you'd be like, oh, I want a dog. It is so good. And it just goes to show that without dogs, humanity wouldn't be where it is today. Without humans, dogs wouldn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
Our coexistence, it changed the world. Because of dogs, we could actually herd larger flocks of animals. Because they were quick, and they were able to round them up better than a human could. It's like one shepherd dog, like a collie, and one human could do more work with the number of sheep that without the dog, you need at least 6 more people just to round them up.
Yeah.
At least. It's amazing how much dogs and humans are so codependent.
And speaking of mental health, seniors have, or people in the hospital, or even prisoners, they have companion animals come and hang out with these people because it's such a huge positive impact to their mental health and emotional health.
Even petting a dog. Just petting a dog. Even a stranger's dog. Just petting it. After 14 seconds of petting, you have an oxytocin release. And your cortisol levels drop. That right there alone is good for your mental health.
So do you have a dog?
I have 2.
Oh.
I have a yellow lab and a beagle.
I love beagles.
He is the biggest pain in my ass, and I love him for it. Oh my God, he's such a shithead. It's like I want to strangle him and love him in almost equal parts 24/7, and I love him for it. He keeps me on my toes.
Is he a barker?
He's a howler.
Yeah.
But what's great is I can howl at him and he'll howl back.
Aww.
He doesn't bark. He can't bark. He just has short howls.
Oh my.
Because dogs have a distinct bark, bark. He's all, his short one's a how, how. It's like, yep, that's a howl.
What about you, C? Do you have a dog?
Yeah, we have a dog that my aunt had to give to us. His name is Trouble, but he is not Trouble. We also have a cat named Bam Bam.
Oh.
The first time I ever was comfortable around a pit bull, because my dad was like, pit bulls are dangerous. My mom, pit bulls are dangerous. So I was convinced pit bulls are dangerous. And then the guy that told me that I was the most self-deluded person he ever met, he has a pit bull named Stitch. And yes, this dog is just like Stitch in the cartoon. Just as good-hearted, but a menace at the same time.
Yep.
And completely deaf on top of that. So when he doesn't want to deal, he knows sign language, for commands and stuff, but when he doesn't want to deal with it, he'll make a point to not look at you.
Wow.
If I don't see it, it didn't happen. That's he'll see you start hand gesturing and he's like, no. I fell in love with this dog. Now I see pit bulls and I'm just like, with pit owners, pit bull. Yep. Is it nice? Yep. Can I pet? Yeah. Come here, give me a hug. Oh, give me kisses. I love you.
Yes.
I was at a pet store. Someone had a Rottweiler. I'm like, oh, Roddy. He's like, you know Roddies? I'm like, I was raised with Roddies. I'm like, you can pet him. I just get down on the ground and let him climb up on me. I'm like, oh, you're just a big old lapdog, aren't you? Yeah. And she's like, yeah, you definitely know Roddies. Even people that claim they know Roddies are nervous around him. I'm like, there's nothing to be nervous about. Look at him. Look how happy he is.
Right.
But yeah, Dogs Decoded, one of the coolest things they do is that they take, you see every domesticated dog to this day, all of them come from wolf stock. Even your little miniature teacup, chihuahuas that weigh 1.2 pounds is genetically a wolf. At least that's where it comes from.
Yep.
what this they did is that they had this silver fox farm up in one of the Scandinavian countries. I can't remember which one. And what they did is that they deliberately took all the babies that, as they became adults, stayed docile. Like they never lost their love of humans.
Right.
And they separated them off and started breeding them. Within, there's like 2 or 3 generations, only 1 out of every 100 would come out and not be trusting. After a couple more generations, that was bred out of them completely. And almost immediately, they started taking on dog features. Mottled color patterns, tails starting to curl, extra muscles in their faces so their eyebrows become have expression. Wolves don't have those muscles. Dogs have extra muscles to be more expressive. They started watching faces more to learn what cues you give so they know how to react like dogs. They also took the absolute nastiest ones that they could get and kept breeding them. They didn't physically change at all. But they named them silver dragons because of how freaking vicious they got. Like, they're like, we are literally terrified to go in there. Because they are just so nasty. Like, they're caged, but dear God. It's like having caged wolverines. It's terrifying.
Oh, God.
And it was a really interesting experiment that within just like 5 generations, all of a sudden these foxes started looking like dogs. Yet, you go the other direction, they just got nasty. They don't look any different, but man, they are nasty. It turns out, dogs, they're deficient wolves, trying to put it as gently as possible. They're the developmentally delayed wolves. And that's why they're so kind, and why there's differences in their looks and all that.
Oh.
But I love them so much.
Yes.
I really like dogs, but I'm selfish enough to, I know myself well enough to say I'm too selfish to get up in the middle of the night and take them outside in the Seattle rain. Like, no, cats, they take themselves to the litter box and they're fine.
Yeah, but then you have to deal with the litter box, which I have 2 cats too, so.
Yeah. But I do that when it's convenient for me, not at 4 a.m. when the puppy's like, I gotta go outside.
Yeah, especially when they're like, I need to go potty. Oh, it's raining. No, I'll just go in here. No, you won't.
Oh, yeah. I can't imagine.
I don't think so. I'm going to stand out here with you. I'll be under the eave. You're going to get rained on, and you're going potty.
Yeah.
And we're not going back inside until you do. Oh, hey, sunrise. What the hell?
Yeah.
My lab loves the rain. She'll go outside and start, jumping around, biting at the raindrops. She loves.
Aww.
That's so cute.
Yeah, she's a lab. She's a water dog. We fill up a pool, she wants in it immediately. She's just a water dog. We got an Airbnb that had a on-property pond. You couldn't keep my dog out of it. She would jump in, swim, come out, shake off, immediately jump right back in. Swim, come out, shake off, immediately jump right back in.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Except wet dog. Then you got wet dog, like on your carpet or whatever when they're ready to come inside.
As an Airbnb, it's their carpet. They deal with it. But they're like, look, there's a neighbor. They have a yellow lab. Don't make the dog swim because the dog has hip problems. But if the dog goes in the pond, don't worry about it. Yeah, that dog and our dog became best friends instantly.
Aww.
That's the one cool thing about labs. I've never met an aggressive lab in my life. I swear, they see the entire world as friends. Yes, Cat, we know that you're a kitty person. Even put P-U-R-R-S-O-N, person. I love you, Cat. Her icon is of looks like a Russian gray, maybe, with purple sunglasses.
That's
It's
cute.
adorable.
It is amazing. Cat also really loves the color purple. And like most people that love the color purple, purple is everything and everywhere. I have never met a person that's like, I love purple and not have purple everywhere.
Yeah.
My ex-wife loved purple. I like purple now. I didn't care for it too much before. I like it now, but holy shit, everything was purple.
Yeah.
Oh, the cell phone comes in purple? I'll get it. But it's not a good cell phone, but it's purple.
Kat said, I love most animals, but my favorite is kitties. And I agree. I do love cats.
I love kittens. I love their rambunctiousness and their fearlessness, and I love kittens. Cats, I like them. I love my cat. But of course, Ryuk's kind of like a chunk of my soul, so, whatever.
And they really are so much a part of your life. Like, we have lost 3 cats in 2 years. They were all around the same age. And 2 of them got lymphoma, and 1 of them got kidney failure.
Ooh.
And when we had to put the second of the 3 down, about 2 weeks later, we adopted 2 young cats, like juveniles. They weren't kittens. They were just beginning to not be kittens. They were about 7 or 8 months old.
Okay.
And we really needed that. It wasn't like an immediate, we got to replace the 2 cats that died. It was just, they do fill your life with so much joy that we needed to make sure we still had some of that joy. And we just put our 3rd cat down like a week or 2 ago. And that was hard. It's always hard. It never ever gets easier.
Yeah.
But having these 2 cats that we adopted, 14 months ago, they just add so much to our lives. And we've had a lot of cats through our marriage, and they all have their own personalities. And one of them that we have right now, so they're not quite 2 years old. And one of them that we have right now wants to play all the time. All the time he will play. And he will even we live in a 2-story house, and he will bring toys that are this long, because they're like a fishing pole with a string tied at the end.
Yes.
So people who can't see me, like arm's length telescope pole, and it has a toy on the end of a string. They will take that long ass toy up and down the stairs because they'll bring it to you to ask you to please play with them.
Aww.
Yeah, I believe it.
I can't imagine life without cats. I just can't.
Same.
I just I like cats that have like a dog's soul. That's the only way I can really put it. And my cat, Ryuk, definitely, he's got that kind of, like a dog's soul. I mean, he still has that cat thing of, I just want to be left alone.
Yeah, independent.
Yeah, but to kind of put it in perspective, if I'm laying on my back, he climbs on my chest. But he only does it when I seem to need him the most. He'll sleep in my armpit. And if I start getting uncomfortable, he goes and sleeps on my nightstand. Of course, he knocks my phone off the nightstand. He knocks my alarm clock off the nightstand so he can lay on. Because he's a cat.
Yeah.
Right.
So
That's
screw
just
everything
what they
else.
do.
Yeah.
I want what I want. I'm selfish.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's proof that the world's not flat. If it was, the cats would have knocked everything off of it by now.
Yeah.
But no, he's definitely a section of my soul. Like I cannot imagine my life without him in it. Now that I've had him in it, and I know he's gonna go before I do, and it will hurt, but I'll be at complete peace with it because I have had that. That he helped to make me complete in a way that I didn't realize I was missing. But for me, the dogs. The doggy.
Yeah.
I got my yellow lab who, if she decides to lay up next to my pillow, she's my pillow. Put my head on her chest, listen to her breathing, listen to her heartbeat, and just... It knocks me out so fast. And then Buster, the beagle, he likes burying his nose. So he'll bury his nose into that nook between like my neck and my shoulder. He just puts his nose there and falls asleep.
Oh.
Which is
My
great
cat.
until it starts becoming a sauna in that spot. Your cat?
My cat does what our dog does to my dad. He follows me around everywhere. If I go in my mom's room and I close the door, he's waiting outside the door. If I go into the bathroom, he's waiting outside the bathroom. If I go outside, he's waiting by the door. And he watches me constantly. He's just my little buddy. He does the same exact thing that our dog does to my dad, and I love it.
That is so sweet. Does he sleep with you?
Yes, he'll curl up and like knead, you know?
Yeah.
And
Kitty cakes.
after a bit, yes, after a bit, he'll, go do his own thing, but he'll usually come over with me.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to be anxious when you have a pet next, that you're engaging with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously.
Definitely.
One of the best non-prescription things you could ever have.
Yep.
But man, when they get sick, talk about anxiety.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My cat has a very sensitive stomach. He's got quite a few problems. We learned not to get him any other gravy except Friskies, because if we do, he will get very sick. I got so scared. I thought he was dying because he was sick and he was hiding, but it was just his sensitive stomach. To say I panicked is, to say the least,
Yeah.
My cat, when I wake up to go to the, morning routine, wake up, go to the bathroom. I'll stand there peeing, and he jumps up on the counter and then puts his paws on my chest on my right hand side and meows at me, and he'll sit there and start nuzzling my neck while I'm like, cat, I'm peeing. What the hell? It's just, that's how much he loves me.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I love the hell out of that shithead. I really do. Yeah, he's something else. And he's we have an orange tabby named Rocco. Rocco and Buster the Beagle are the best of friends.
Oh.
They play every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. They love each other's company. And it is great, too, because if you weren't familiar with it, you would swear that the Beagle's trying to rip the throat out of the cat. No. He's just pinning the cats down there for a little bit. And the cat will do the hug and stuff. And after they're done playing, the cat has groomed the dog.
Oh.
Where, it's like, I always wanted to see that. It's like, I always heard, it's like, oh yeah, my dog and cat, they're best friends. I'm like, I want that. I want that in my life. Now I have it. I'm like, this is amazing. It's as great as I thought it would be.
I remember that cartoon. I don't remember if it was Looney Tunes or Bananarama or whatever. But there was a big, wrinkly dog and then a kitten. And the kitten would ride on the dog's back and it would knead the dog's neck area. Gosh, the cartoon was so cute.
I'm pretty sure that was Looney Tunes. I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've seen it in real life, too. They're like, life imitates art. And it showed the cat on the cartoon. And then it showed another cat in real life doing the same thing. I was like, that's cool.
I love it when I see cats and birds hanging out together outside. Just some random crow that just visits the same cat, on a regular basis. That's pretty cute.
Cool fact. Over in Yellowstone, the crows and ravens are starting to bond so strongly with wolves that they're starting to become codependent.
Yep.
Really? You said that too, Steve?
Like specific crows, what they've learned, the crows have learned to draw attention to kills to the wolves. Ones that are the hide's too thick for the crows to get into. The wolves come and oh my god, free food. And they'll rip open the carcass, get their fill, and when they leave, there's plenty left for the birds. And the birds will play with the wolf pups, and it's gotten to the point where specific birds will only go around specific packs of wolves. And they are becoming they are starting to truly become interdependent. It is.
Where is this a documentary? I have this one. I really want to watch.
I haven't seen a documentary so much about it as it was like a little like 3 or 4 minute video on YouTube about it.
Oh, I gotta find that. That sounds cool.
It is amazing. It's just life changes constantly. You know, it's like if you don't pay attention, you're gonna miss it. A great example. Rest in peace, Anne Rice. Your Vampire Chronicles were amazing. The Vampire Lestat. He ancient. You know, he was from like the Dark Ages in France. He started falling because like vampires, and the lore for this is that the vampires, they don't deal well with change. They tend to try to ignore it. Well, eventually the world changes so much that they're lost. And he sired Louis to help bring him into the 16th century, 17th century. And then he got lost again because helicopters and airplanes and skyscrapers, you know, that's so alien that he was like losing his mind and losing everything. And then, of course, they show him, you know, do with Christian Slater. I'm going to make you an offer that was never made to me to help him keep going forward. That's the nature of the world. If like you're not paying attention from the time like you're like now until the time like you're getting ready to like your retirement home, you could be lost. Mm-hmm. How many people do you see that have never stayed up with the times and they're just lost and they're miserable? Yeah, I'm going to try to stay active with this shit till the day I die. Because I want to be like those ones that are like, I'm 80 years old and I got this and that. And I'm like, oh my God. You know, like, I was doing tech support and I had people calling up that were like in their 80s and 90s and they knew more than I did by far about the stuff I'm trying to support. So I'm like, it's not working and you know more than me? Fuck. And then you get those ones that are like, oh, well, you know, I'm 50 years old. You can't expect me to know. It's like, you're going to be one of those ones that's going to be lost and miserable in another 20, 30 years. Because you're not willing to change with the times. You're not willing to learn. You're not willing to expand and grow. Never stop growing.
Mm-hmm. And we have infinite resources. I mean, if you want to know something, if you want to explore something, gosh, there's so much out there on the web. But you got to be active about it. You know, you got to go seek it out and spend, you know, invest in your own well-being, growth. There's resources all over the place, including this resource, right?
Aw.
This podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, we literally have all of the humans' knowledge in its entirety online now. Accessible from the device in your pocket or in your purse. Yeah. Or in your bra, if you're one of those. Hey, I know people like that. I get it.
Yep. I'm one of them.
You know what? Odds are no one's going to grab it.
Right.
But I still love the joke. Okay, someone travels back to you from the 1950s. What's the most mind-blowing thing you could tell them? I have in my pocket a device that has access to the entirety of all of mankind's knowledge throughout all of history. And I use it to look at videos of cats and to pick fights with random strangers.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
I've seen that. But
it's so true.
It is. It is. And I really I was listening to some podcasts for a while and I was just like ingesting it all. And it was the philosophical ones and the theological ones. And then I got these messages on my phone saying, you're almost out of data. Okay, now you're over your data. Yes, I'm on an archaic plan with a data budget. Because if I get with the new 2022 plans, it's like way more expensive. But
I was like, went from an ancient plan to a modern plan, and we're like, our bill got cut in half.
Yeah, that's not going to happen for mine. I don't know why, but so it's cheaper for me to pay a YouTube fee of like $12 a month or something, download the podcasts, and then listen to them from the download of my device. And I listen to them on my commute, and it's awesome. You know, if you want to learn stuff, you can.
Yeah.
explore different options. I used to just listen to music every day for my whole entire career, listen to music on my way to and from work. And then I realized I could be using this time to learn about this philosophical stuff that I want to explore some more.
I use it
What's hard about it?
I do audiobooks now.
I just got through Atlas Shrugged in the fall. And
So good.
Loved it. I loved it so much.
I went through it twice, like immediately back to back. And then I went to The Fountainhead back to back.
That's fine. I did them in the reverse order.
That's the order you're supposed to do it in. I did it in backwards order.
Yeah. But God, it was Atlas Shrugged was 56 hours. And when I first started playing it, I was like, am I going to get through this 56 hours? But I would get to work and I'd be like, I don't want to stop. I'm not at a good stopping place of the story.
Right. And then the next thing you know, you're like, what do you mean I only have an hour left?
I know it was.
But there's still so much to do.
Yeah.
And of course, there's that one chapter. The one chapter with that tunnel. That, oh, God, it rips me apart.
Yeah.
You know, the tunnel that they put the engine through that wasn't supposed to go through?
Yeah, that one's hard.
That is a very brutal chapter to get through.
Yeah.
It wasn't so bad the first time because it really catches you off guard and it's like just getting like kicked in the nuts out of the blue. Second time, you know you're getting kicked in the nuts. You know you're getting kicked.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And you want to make decisions for the characters. You want to just be like, make a different decision, choose differently when you know what's going to happen.
Defy orders that you know are bad.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? That's a message that we need today too. Defy orders that you know are bad.
Yep.
Yep.
And this is one of those ones that, yeah, this decision, it's going to cost lives. The decision not to do it, it's going to inconvenience people, but it'll save lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know which one I'm picking. I'm going to save lives. You may be inconvenienced. You may hate me for it. But you get to live to hate me for it.
Right.
And it's like some of the people, and I know this sounds callous. Some of those people, when they like went in there and they're like, okay, you know they're goners. Some of them you're like, whatever about you. Whatever about you. Whatever about you. No biggie. You know, it's like, you suck anyway. You're making things worse. You suck anyway. You're making things worse. No, not them. Oh, God, please, no, not them.
Yeah.
But they're innocent. They didn't do anything. Oh, man. I almost threw my phone because of that chapter.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not even kidding. I was so just gut-wrenched by it.
I was surprised at myself for more in the Fountainhead than Atlas Shrugged, but how often I would audibly laugh. Like,
Oh, yeah.
No, he did not just do that. But you could just be like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. And I'm just like, it's like I'm in the moment of enjoying this scene that's playing out in my head. Because that's not like me. I don't audibly laugh out loud a whole lot.
Rourke did that to me quite a few times.
Yes.
Quite a few times. And then once you finally understand Winan, he's awesome! Because at first you're like, this guy's such a dick. He's such a dick. Then you realize what he's actually doing. He's looking for a peer. And he's failing everywhere.
Yeah.
Because once he meets up with Rourke, he finds peace and he stops doing that shit.
Right. Except then I almost feel like I can do spoilers because the book's been around for decades. So too bad for you if you didn't actually read it yet. But
It's only been out since the 50s or 60s. Jeez.
But when it broke my heart at the end, the direction that happened with Rourke and Winan, it broke my heart. And I remember tweeting about it and saying their relationship was ruined or damaged or whatever. And one of the people we know said, I don't like to think of it that way. I just like to think of it as being put on pause.
I agree.
Reason later.
I agree.
That's a good way.
Just the nature of those two. They'd eventually put it, okay, well, that difference is now past. What you doing?
Yeah.
Not much. You want to go do something together? Yeah, you know what? Let's go on a cruise and let's just talk shit.
Yeah.
Because that was their relationship.
Yeah. Good books.
Oh, man. Yeah, definitely. Now, the biggest difference, I think, between the two is that the Fountainhead, the characters were more staunchly, almost caricatures of specific philosophies, where in Atlas Shrugged, there was a lot more fluidity and there's more dynamics to it, and things changed, and there's a lot of flux. It was much more organic, I think.
I think you're absolutely right, but I'm glad I did them in the order that I did them, because as I was listening to the Fountainhead, I was just like, it really was a moment where I was thinking, oh my gosh, am I Peter Keating? Am I a second-hander? I think I've been a second-hander for most of my life, and I didn't like it. And I was like, I do not want to be that way. But this Rourke guy, he is a, like,
he's a
strength.
He's a Sigma male. He's not alpha. He's not beta. He's Sigma. He doesn't give a shit about societal norms. He just does what he needs to do.
Yes.
See, and you would love
Giga Chad.
He's the Giga Chad.
I don't know what a Giga Chad is.
So a Chad is like the super stud. He does what's the right thing. Not the easy thing. Not even necessarily the quote unquote good thing. He does what's right. But he does it in usually a good way. Because there is also the one that does right to the point of harm. The Wheel of Time has a character like that. The Amazon series, I'm sorry, Amazon, it's shit. You fucking ruined it. And the people that are enjoying it, enjoy it. Seriously, by all means, enjoy it. Watch the whole series. Watch it all. And thoroughly enjoy it. The writers did the best they could under the constraints that Amazon put them in, and they fought tooth and nail for the good parts. I'm just going to say that. I'm done watching it. I can't. It's so garbage. But if you read the books, there's a character who always does what's right, even when it is the wrong thing to do. He does what's societally right at all times. Where Rourke does what is philosophically and morally right at all times.
Yep. Gosh, I just admire. I know he's like almost a caricature. I just admire him so much. And I look at Peter Keating and I'm like, I think that's me, and I don't want to be. I want to be this other guy. And I'm going to follow his model because I admire it, and because it's strength, and because it's based in reality.
But it's really not a blueprint to follow. It's just like, this is the end result.
Yes.
Where
yes,
Atlas
right.
Shrugged gives you the blueprint and the plans. Here's how you get there.
Yep. It was a 3-hour speech. Galt's first speech was 3 hours long. Because while I was listening to the book, I was like, how come they never made a movie out of this book? That would be awesome.
They've tried.
You can't fit a 3-hour speech in one movie, much less the whole rest of the book.
Yeah, I mean, they've tried, and they've failed fucking miserably every time. Apparently, there's another attempt coming up now where it's going to be a mini-series.
That would be awesome.
Because the speech alone is one episode of a mini-series.
For sure. And they'd have to cut it down because it was 3 hours long on the audio version. But he had a second speech. His second speech was it was under duress. They took him. They held him at gunpoint, walking him from his little...
That was such a good one. Oh, that was such a good one. Short, sweet, to the point, and whoo. Again,
I love that.
Did the Sigma male Giga Chad move at the end.
I loved it. It was awesome.
Loved every bit of that scene. Also, I think, and I wish that May was on here because it's her favorite part of the entire series. And I have to agree, it's an amazing part. The Thanksgiving dinner at the Reardon's house.
Oh. Oh, that.
That's
Gosh,
where
I don't
where
have time
Reardon
for that
really
level.
starts to see his family for who they truly are.
Yeah, and the way he responds to them, I don't know if I could do that still. Like, I'm not at a place. He was right. He was absolutely right.
If I were
But
in that position, I would be like today. If I found myself in that position, I'd be giddy to do what he did. But
would you really? I'd have so much. Oh, it would be really hard.
no, I've lost some friendships that I've had since the sandbox at preschool. But again, it's that whole thing of they were as even though we had that friendship, they were never a true friend. That's what makes it easy.
Yeah.
Just like the family members, just because you're blood doesn't make you family.
Exactly.
We say this often on this podcast, and that's the full quote, which is, "The water of the womb, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb." People always paraphrase it down to blood is thicker than water. No. The blood of the coven, which is the friends that you choose, or the family you choose, is thicker than the water of the womb. Just because she gave birth to you doesn't necessarily mean she's family. There are some people out there that have had the most awful mothers. Yeah. And that's what helps with me too. Is like, hey, there she is. Bexy's in the chat. Yep, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. I hope you're feeling better, Bexy. I knew she couldn't stay away. I bet she is pissed that she's not involved in this conversation.
Sorry.
Kat says, I need to go. Thanks for another interesting podcast. Thank you for joining us again, Kat.
Yes, thank you. Have a good rest of your evening or night or day or I
love you, Kat. Still going to keep trying to get you on the podcast. I know you're going to say no until one of us dies, but I'm going to ask until one of us dies.
She hasn't ever been at, even in my limited times in the chat. I've always seen her.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
she's her all the time.
Yep. One of the most, I would say one of the most adamantly, God, I'm struggling with words today. Yeah, they're one of our best listeners, like hands down. It is such a rarity to not see Kat in the chat. The one time that it happened, I knew why it happened. It was a very bad time for Kat, but yeah, we even hope you're doing okay. Hope you're hearing us. Yeah, Kat is definitely part of the family here. Doesn't want to be a part. Doesn't want to come on the podcast. Just wants to be in the chat. You know what? That's fine.
Yeah.
We need that too. But I'm still gonna bug you, Kat. Yeah, Bexy just said that I'm okay, just a sore throat and a squeaky voice like Minnie Mouse. And saying about Kat, she's consistent in her listening and interacting.
And present.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, Kat's definitely a presence. Lights up the chat room. Of course, Kat's an arsonist, but lights up the chat room.
Literally.
No, that's you on your Viking funeral pyre.
With all of my shit. Night, Kat.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. But no, definitely, I would say that Dagny Taggart. Dagny is the blueprint for how to go from being a second-hander that no longer wants to be a second-hander to becoming, coming to your own and being the producer. She always had it in her. It always bothered her. Didn't quite know how to go about it. But she figured it out. She didn't have anyone really helping her. She kind of just figured it out. I mean, yeah, she had Francisco D'Anconia. But he was so in and out, it was hard to do. he was such a great catalyst character. Like, seriously.
Well, because he had it figured out years before.
Yeah.
Years before.
Well, look who he was hanging out with.
Yeah.
Bexy says, never annoying Cat. Cat, I'm annoyingly here. Yeah, if I start talking spiders, Cat's like, I'm out of here. So, like, if I have to talk about him, I'm like, all right, Cat, you're going to want to plug your ears now for a little bit. I'll send you a chat when it's clear. But no, seriously, if you're really looking at trying to come together with a cohesive philosophy, I highly recommend objectivism. I highly recommend reading the works from Ayn Rand. A lot of people are like, she's not really a philosopher, she's a fictional writer. No, she's both. She uses fiction to deliver her philosophical lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why people have a hard time, like the traditional philosophers struggle. Because they're used to just, here's my book here's my thoughts on philosophy. Ayn Rand's like, here's how my philosophy works.
Yeah.
And yes, she does have books that are just philosophical, like Philosophy, Who Needs It? The Virtue of Selfishness. You know, there's some books that are just philosophy books. But her best works are the fiction. Yeah. I still have to read Anthem.
You know what? I'm going to brag for a second. Somebody posted a meme on Twitter that was attributed to Ayn Rand. Somebody who is an objectivist. And I looked at that meme and I thought, that sounds very negativist. That seems weird to me. And apparently it's attributed to the foreword in Anthem. That's what it's attributed to online. But somebody looked in their foreword of Anthem and it wasn't there. And I need to go to the library because there's 3 different versions of Anthem at my library, and I want to go and see if it's in there. And if I was a betting person, which I'm not anymore, but if I was a betting person, I would bet that it's not a true quote. Because you know that happens online. People put memes out there and they attribute it to a name, and then and then Snopes says, no, that's not. They didn't say that.
Yeah,
that's going to be me.
Snopes has become less and less reliable over the years. There's been a few times that's like, Snopes is like, nope, that didn't happen. Oh, wait, look, it literally happened.
Yeah, I don't trust them. They're biased.
Yeah. They even, when that divorce happened and then all the dirty laundry came out, it's like, ooh, man, they are not the authority we thought they were.
Yeah.
Oh, and did you hear what came out in court this week? With Facebook?
What?
No.
They had to openly admit that their fact checkers are just opinions.
Oh, I did see that somewhere.
Oops.
Yep. Well, and you know what else? Wikipedia even. I've recently become a Wikipedia editor, which I say very lightly, but somebody I know, a public figure, was having a hard time with their Wikipedia. They were objecting to the content. And so I became an editor to do it. And you know how easy it is to just edit Wikipedia?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm editing Wikipedia like left and right.
I used to pre-edit Wikipedia just to get in arguments with this one person that I knew used Wikipedia as their primary source. And then they would go and read Wikipedia, and there's my edit, and they're like, oh, I guess you're right. Even though it's completely fucking wrong.
What's your article?
It was like, I get into work, and I'm like, I got an hour before he gets here. What do I want to get into an argument with this time?
That's so funny. Wow. It's a weird culture. I discovered it's got its own culture.
It's very tribal, and if your information doesn't match the tribe, they will not let it stay.
Yep.
And that's bad. How can you be a resource or a source of any kind of any credibility if your opinion of the group dictates what is and what isn't a fact, as opposed to what is and what isn't a fact.
Right.
Here's a good quote that Bexy just threw out there. My happiness is not the means to any end. It is the end. It is its own goal. It is its own purpose. Ayn Rand.
That's
Anthem.
awesome. I love it.
And a lot of people are like, about the whole greed. That was one thing I wanted to talk about the selfishness and the greediness, and you objectivists and like the libertarian kinds. And Ayn Rand hated libertarians. Like, seriously, she fucking hated libertarians. But it's like, they're like, oh, you're so greedy, you only care about yourself. I'm like, well, of course I care about myself. But you know what helps me with myself? Caring about others. Because when you care about others, they care about you. You help others when they're down, they remember. And when you're down, they're going to help you. And guess what? You're going to remember who was there. How many times on Facebook do you see someone who says, when you're down and out, that's when you find out who your true friends are?
Yep.
It's the truth. Now, is homelessness a problem in my neighborhood? No. Is crime a problem in my neighborhood? A little bit. But you know what we do? I help out with my neighbors. We have a neighborhood watch program. I was one that even said, hey, do we have a neighborhood watch? And the guy's like, oh, yeah, we kind of do. I'm like, can we have a meeting? Can we start doing this more? That's part of the it's mutual self-interest.
Yeah.
And then we have a mail group in our neighborhood. So it's like, hey, I'm going out of town. I'll just throw it out. I'm heading out of town. I'll be out on these days. Can someone keep an eye on my place? And I know that everybody in the neighborhood's keeping an eye on my place. You know how comforting that is?
Yeah.
And when someone else says they're going out of town, I'm checking on their shit all the time.
We only have that relationship with our next door neighbors. And recently our HOA just got into a major drama fest.
Oh, I hate HOAs. I hate HOAs.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, just feeling the support of a neighbor, just having that kind of neighborliness. And in fact, my car wouldn't start the other day, and I texted my next door neighbor because it was like 10 a.m. I didn't want to go knock on his door. I was like, can you come jump my car? And he's like, I'm so sorry, I'm on the other side of the mountains, but here's where I keep my key, and I can give you the code to my garage. And I'm just like, nah. I appreciated it so much. Really, really appreciated it, and that level of trust and everything. But it wasn't that important. I just called AAA. But just to have that kind of neighborliness was awesome.
Yeah, actually, I'm planning on... The idea's been brought up a couple of times. I'm going to throw out a reminder in April that the weekend, either before or the weekend after the 4th of July, we should do a neighborhood cookout where each person does a cookout in front of their house, and then all the neighbors can just wander around from house to house and try each other's food.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's like, they used to do that back when this neighborhood was first built. I was like, well, let's do it now.
Yeah. You know what else is a great opportunity for like the giving and the camaraderie is I'm not really on Facebook. I avoid it because I don't like to see my friends and family arguing, but I do join community pages, and I love the buy nothing groups. Somebody will post on there, does anybody have, whatever it is they need? And it's buy nothing. You do not engage in trades or purchases or whatever. It's just, does anybody have this? And then if you have something that you don't want, you put it on the buy nothing. Hey, does anybody need this fireplace screen or slippers or, whatever? And people can be so appreciative for this stuff that to you is just like, I don't need this. I don't want this. Yep. I'm done with this.
We actually have, in my neighborhood, it's a suburb of the larger city, we actually have once a quarter what they call the neighborhood pickup, where you take all the stuff from your house you don't want anymore. Furniture, refrigerator, child gate, whatever. Put it out on the street. And then the city will come and clean it up. Well, that schedule is known by lots of people who will come through and they'll be like, oh, I need this. Take it. Fine, take it. I'd rather it go to someone than go to a dump.
Yes, exactly.
And it's great because like I'll put out a pile of stuff at night. You know, like it's like okay, and now I can put stuff out there, put it all out there. You know, give maximum time. Wake up the next morning and like 2/3 of it's gone.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? I less on my shoulders. Didn't want any of it anyway. So Bexy just threw out a big quote.
Yeah, I was gonna read it out loud. Do you want to read it?
Oh no, go for it.
Okay.
I like the sound of your voice.
Thank you. Bexy says, "At first, man was enslaved by the gods, but he broke their chains. Then he was enslaved by the kings, but he broke their chains. He was enslaved by his birth, by his kin, by his race, but he broke their chains. He declared to all his brothers that a man has rights which neither God nor king nor other men can take away from him, no matter what their number. For his is the right of man, and there is no right on earth above this right. And he stood on the threshold of freedom, for which the blood of the centuries behind him had been spilled.
I love it.
What's
I
the
really
reference?
like that quote.
What's the reference?
Oh, I bet you it's Ayn Rand. I'm just like... And Bexy was cheering on C to read it too.
Oh, thank you, Bexy.
Hi, Sadie dog. There's so many great quotes in the whole thing. Yep, it's from Anthem.
Yes.
Her books are just so quotable. So many
Yes.
good points. And I
Yes.
love the fact that the very opening line of Atlas Shrugged is, "Who is John Galt?" And what's funny is that you don't even realize that, like, sorry, spoiler, you don't even, like, learn that John Galt's an actual person for, like, 3/4 of the book.
I know.
And they're like, wait, what? He's real?
Right. I kind of, but you know what? I was kind of with Dagny, where I didn't really like it being used as like this dismissive, I don't know, who is John Galt? Like, I didn't like it. It bothered me.
Mhm.
And it bothered her too. I felt like kind of like vindicated or something when it became pretty clear that she didn't really care for that saying either.
It was a defeatist attitude.
Mm.
And it was used over the simplest things, too, at times.
Yeah.
Basically, they used the line, "Who is John Galt?" as, whatever. You know?
Yeah. I don't know. It was really just like, I don't know.
It was like a much more a shorter, more succinct way of saying God works in mysterious ways.
A little bit. I can see that
Yeah.
in part of it.
Part of it. It's not quite right, but yeah, you know, it's in that vein.
Yeah.
You know, you said earlier that you didn't have 3 hours.
I know.
We have 15 minutes left.
Yes. I noticed that too.
And there was another book that we discovered that Bexy and I were like on the phone together, and I think she was one that found it, that there is another book that Ayn Rand wrote that's about her experience living in communist Russia. I can't remember the name of it though, but that's on my must-read list. Same with Anthem.
Yeah. I really got to go get the Anthem books and look at the forwards and read the book.
I haven't read it. I haven't looked at it. From what I could tell, though, it's like really short, especially compared to The Fountainhead and most especially Atlas Shrugged. Atlas would have to shrug after carrying that damn book.
I know.
I love throwing out that question that Francisco asked Hank Reardon about the Titan, Atlas, with the world on his shoulders. Every time he took a step forward, the weight became more and more unbearable. What advice would you give him with all the blood, sweat, and tears and all that? I love posting that and seeing how many people answer. And they all answer the same thing, which is a little disheartening. But I get it. It's what we've been conditioned to say, which is, keep going. You got this. Sometimes the best advice is shrug.
Yeah.
The world's not going anywhere. Take a break. Pick it up and carry it a little bit later when you're ready.
Yeah.
Don't let it crush you.
It was D'Antonia, right, that asked that at Reardon?
Yep, Francisco D'Antonia.
D'Antonia, yeah. I love that it was D'Antonia and not John Galt. I thought it was going to recur again later. I thought that same. Yeah, I didn't read it because I can't even think of the way it's spelled. I'm just remembering my audiobook.
Yep.
Yeah,
I made a point of going afterwards and reading through, like, the key characters.
Yeah.
And there are still some characters I just see their name and I'm just like, fuck you.
I know.
Aggressive snarling.
Oh God, yes. Like, seriously, see if you ever take it to, like, it's a 35-hour audiobook. I listen to it between 1.25 and 1.5 speed, depending on how much ambient noise there is. Yeah, it still takes for fucking ever to get through it. But it's one of those, it's so good. Like, right off the bat, it is just good. There's no lulls in it, not really. Even the lulls are captivating, and it just takes you on this journey. And by the time you're done, you're like, holy shit, I went through a 35-hour audiobook. It's just, there are trilogies that are shorter than that.
Wow.
But
That's crazy.
the book does come in 3 acts.
Okay.
And the original name of the book, the working title before her husband suggested Atlas Shrugged, was The Strike.
The Strike, huh?
Listen to in the audiobook, there's an interview with Pykov about it, which was her best friend. And he told the story about that, about what it was, about the notebooks that she kept before she actually wrote, while she's working on it and, fleshing it all out. And that, yeah, she originally was going to call it The Strike.
Huh.
It's like when you really go through the whole, like, you really get the idea of the whole theme, which doesn't come out till near the end. Frickin' still a brilliant name, quite honestly.
But it could be a little bit of It could be a little bit of a spoiler because all you know in the first part is producers are disappearing.
Right.
You don't know they're on strike.
Atlas Shrugged, though, I still think it's just such a poetic name.
Yeah.
And it really captures the essence of that book.
Yep.
So, yeah. Once again, we've talked a bit about the tangents.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's fine. As much as, mental health is a part of what we talk about. It's a big part of why we're here, and it's what we really want to share. Just like this podcast, it doesn't have to dominate your life.
Yep.
Feel free to explore other things. Honestly, how do you feel, Jen?
I feel great. I feel sort of a renewed explore things, manage your anxiety. I sometimes I feel hopeless, like I'm just saddled with this, usually with the bipolar 2. I feel saddled. But I also know nothing is stopping me from exploring other treatments or other ways of thinking.
And we literally have all the knowledge in the world at our fingertips.
Yep.
Makes it more easy now than it's ever been in any point in history.
Yep.
And after your last episode, did you have a buzz afterwards for a few days?
Gosh, that was a long time ago, E.
Trick question.
It's way more laid back this time is the thing. That was back in season 1. It was a little more structured. I had all my notes.
We only had 45 minutes.
And we had, the time constraint. But when it was all said and done, it felt good to just provide some insight. Like, I don't have answers. I have some insights. I have some anecdotes and some experiences that I can share. And that's what feels good. And it's like on the website where it says one of the reasons here is to let people know you're not alone. And that to me feels really good, to just kind of come on here and share experiences. And I wish it could be a little more, interactive with the chat. That part feels good.
I think that I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I just think that having the chat is such a critical piece of all this.
Yeah.
Because you're not alone. And the chat confirms it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and there is definitely something comforting in knowing that you're not the only one struggling. And in some cases, you're not the only one struggling with some very specific things.
Yeah.
And as fucked up as this may sound, yay, there's other people fucked up like me too! But no, seriously, there is power in it, and you can help each other. They may have come up with ways to deal with things that you never thought of, and vice versa.
Yeah, and I would love to hear that stuff. And what you just said too is a Matchbox 20 song, Unwell, where it just kind of acknowledges, I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell.
I like that song a lot, actually.
That's like my favorite Matchbox song ever. I love that song. We're all that way. We're all a little bit unwell.
I also like, there's another song, We're Not Broken, We're Just Bent.
Mm-hmm.
There's a duet. There's another good one.
Oh, from Pink?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure it was from Pink.
Probably. Pink will throw out songs that you're just like, wow, this is a great song. Who sings this? Holy shit, it's Pink again.
Yeah.
I love Pink. She's amazing. Come on the podcast,
Definitely.
Pink. I know you'll never hear this, but please come on the podcast. God, now watch. It would be kind of crazy, like 5 years from now, we're like Joe Rogan podcast size, and Pink's on here. I'm like, did you hear us in season 8? Yeah, no, but definitely, just knowing that you don't have to have it be your focus. Knowing that there's others out there like you. Knowing that other people are struggling. It helps. And it's not like that sadistic, oh God, I'm not the only one that's struggling. I'm glad there's other people struggling. No, it's not like that. It's, oh my God, I'm not alone. There's people that understand me. There's people that can relate to me, and I can relate to them. Because let's face it, mental health issues, when you're with your family and friends, a lot of times, it's very isolating. Because they can't relate.
Yes.
Or they won't relate.
Oh, yep. And there's that. Or even try to understand. And it's so frustrating because it makes you feel like you're not worthy of being understood or being valued for who you are.
I love you, Jen.
Yeah. Thanks.
There's a reason I keep reaching out to you every time I'm like, oh yeah, that's another person I need to... You're definitely high on my list, if you haven't noticed.
I appreciate your persistence, and I appreciate that you understand why sometimes I just don't have the fuel.
I get that.
Yeah.
But like I said in the earlier part of this podcast too, sometimes just knowing someone's there. And you know what? I don't want to put any pressure on you to respond or to feel obligated to come on the show or come in and listen to the chat. I know that when you have it in you to do so, you will. But I'm just letting you know, hey, thinking about you.
And I appreciate that. And I've reached out to a couple of my friends recently, and they're both single. And I do worry though when they don't call me back. Like, I just need a sign of life because they're single, and maybe they won't call me back, but I want them to know I care about you. If I don't hear from you, I start to get a little worried. So just send a little, emoji, whatever, just a sign of life. But I've had people do that to me too, and it means a lot to know that they care about me and they're thinking about me and they want to make sure I'm okay.
And look who showed up for the last 5 minutes.
Hi,
Hi.
Hey, everybody.
It is Minnie Mouse.
Yes, I'm very squeaky voiced.
And you probably don't want me making you laugh.
It's okay if you do.
Yeah, because I'm going to. Sorry. I might make you a weasel from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. You're gonna laugh yourself to death! It's gonna be my fault, just like Eddie did. Yeah, I knew that eventually you were gonna show up here, because, I mean, we were talking about objectivism and positivism and how much it changed our lives. And I don't know if you heard the part that I said. It's like, I haven't seen it impact anybody's life more than yours.
I didn't hear that, but you're right. It has. It's made an immense difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost let altruism kill me.
I mean, you were literally on your way out because of altruism. And see, we're still working on you, see.
Yes.
We don't know if you really want to be like a objectivist or positivist, and that's fine. You don't have to be. You know, just because we are doesn't mean that you have to be. We're not a cult, in spite of what you may have heard.
Don't mind our black robes. That it's not a cult. We promise.
We actually
talked about cub and blood, though.
Yeah, we actually had, at one point, all of us used the same style of avatar of, like, black background, white text, because we kept being called cultists. So we all started doing the "we're not cultists" kind of, like, as a joke.
That's funny.
This is not a cult.
Yeah, but the thing is that like-minded people are likely to come up with very similar conclusions given any kind of circumstances or problem that you throw at them. It's because you're fucking like-minded. It has nothing to do with cultism. We all come to our own conclusions. We have our own ways of coming to it. And if you read what we say, we all took our own journeys to get there. Where a cult, everyone repeats it verbatim.
Exactly.
But yeah, you know...
Mindlessly.
Yeah. You have a mind. And you have a heart. And you are one of the most amazing people I've ever met. Mm-hmm. And I just want so much for you.
Oh, thank you. Hopefully it'll happen someday. I'm sure it will.
Yeah, it's slowly happening. I see it. It's there. You have some bad days, yes. You have some really bad days, yes. But you're also still... I mean, technically you're an adolescent still. You'll be an adolescent until you're in your mid-20s.
True. Very true.
Yeah, so, yeah, I expect you to have some really rough times between now and then, but we're here for you. And I'm seeing more and more of a strength coming from you, more and more of a light shining from you. There's more and more of an aura about you that it's, yeah, some days it's more subdued than others, but I'm looking at the tide, not the waves.
Oh. That's really nice. I'm really happy to hear that.
That's his long-winded way of saying we love you, bro.
Yes. I love you guys too. So much.
Yeah, I love our chat where we'll spend time just memeing, doing nothing else. It's so awesome.
Yes.
And if we ever say anything that you disagree with, by all means, chime up. Say something. Especially if, like, we go political. If you, like, disagree, let us know. Let us know why. I know that I'm interested in knowing how you work and how you think. The more I get to know you, the better. Even the things that we may be opposed on, you know what? That's fine. We're adults here. We should be allowed to be able to disagree on things and still remain friends.
Exactly. I agree.
I mean, I basically hate Jenn, but we're still friends. Sorry, I had to take a shot at someone there.
I've seen you be brutal to people, but you're so kind-hearted and you're so lighthearted. And it's
I hate
so
liars. I hate liars, and I hate people that seem hell-bent on my destruction and the destruction of people that I love.
gonna say
someone
he
attacks
has a.
someone I love, I will come unglued. But we have run out of time.
No, of course we have.
8 seconds. All right, everybody. I'm E,
I'm C.
Betsy.
and we'll catch you next week.